Here we go.
Here we go. Let's have a good show.
1B, stand by.
Yeah.
Yacht,
Yeah,
take it.
take it. And if you
Take
just go
it.
right now. Go to camera 3. 3. Go to the perfect, just like that.
I'll just go ahead.
Yeah, graphics 2 is going to be up for the first. Okay. Go
Go
right now. Go to camera 3. Go. Yep. Go to the perfect, just like that. No music.
I'm going to hand to Q. Sophie.
Wait for it. Wait for it. Wait for it.
On radio in the Canal Zone.
All right, guys, mic check.
Go ready.
Okay, Ricky, mic.
Yep, I am ready.
Wait for it. Wait for it.
Willie, mic check.
Yep, let's go.
1B, stand by.
10, 9, 8,
7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
and we're live.
Okay, and go for it, guys.
All right, here we go, guys. Quick switch this time. We would make sure we weren't going to have that issue. So 8 p.m. Eastern time, 5 p.m. Pacific time, and of course 7 p.m. Canal Zone time. It's happy hour at the Balboa Yacht Club. Ricky, happy Friday to you, man. We got a great show tonight, dude.
Happy Friday. I mean, 2+ years and I'm still with the butterflies. All right, let me get these butterflies off. Okay, everybody, happy hour at the Balboa Yacht Club, just like Willie said. Thank you for everybody for joining us. As you know, this is a weekly podcast where the Zonian community really comes together. We call it a happy hour, but it's truly a place where a group of us Zonians and friends come together and we chit-chat about Canal Zone history, the construction days. We talk about all the Canal Zone social events, up-to-date news on what's going on in the Panama Canal. A space where everybody truly knows your name. So everybody, let's toast to this great 8th wonder of the world and our growing Zonian community.
Yes, absolutely. Salute, everybody.
And salute, everybody, and welcome.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. We it's funny. We cover so much stuff, and it we don't really have time to cover it all. And it turns out that the Canal Zone really has a lot more to offer than people realize. And so, fortunately, we're not the only ones doing it. There's, take, a Canal Zone documentary with Thane Wheeler. Great job that he's doing there. Yeah, absolutely. With that and their Substack, which is a great place to share information and to, throw out your story, because everybody has their own story. It was a small community and yet, there's so much that went on, right? And there's so much to tell out there. And that's one of the things that we try and cover as well, which interestingly enough, as a matter of fact, we're rolling out a new segment today.
Yes, let's hear it.
It kind of just organically came about. We get questions thrown at us, often. I'll get emails or in Facebook Messenger and whatnot. And they're like, hey, what about this? Or, have you guys thought about doing a show about this? Or, and oftentimes they really are good questions. They're really interesting topics, but you also recognize that it's got a life of about 4 minutes to it. And then, it would answer the question and we'd be satisfied and move on. And so, it obviously isn't something that we choose to put on the show, but then we started thinking, wait a minute, why don't we do this and have a little quick segment where we can answer those, where it only takes a couple of minutes and answer 2 or 3 of those, because we do get a lot. I mean, it's
we learn a lot too when we do these
Exactly.
questions and answers. Yes,
Exactly.
Willie, something else. We're 2+ years, almost 2.5 years into this, and are we ever running out of subjects? No. I mean, we always have a list of things to choose from.
The amount of aha moments, no kidding.
And then we're always like, oh my God, we only have 4 shows this month. How are we going to fit all this in there? So yes, guys, thank you. And like I said, this is a growing community because of our history.
Yeah. Well, and there's a lot more interest in the Canal Zone history now, as we know, going back to what's transpired over the last few years, and Panama's direction that I guess they've circled back, you can almost say, where for the last 20 or 30 years, it was let's erase the
Right, let's
the canals in
minimize
US
the whole
history.
experience. But
And
now, by the president himself said, "Listen, it has to be in all our schools. The history of Panama U.S. relations,
yeah,
the history of the
there's
canal
a
zone."
newfound interest in it for sure in the
Yes,
canals
yes,
and its
and that's
history.
my
And
point. A growing community.
yeah, and it's
Of,
been nice that some of these
Zonians and
people will, you think about the today's generation, how they consume information. A lot of it comes from blogs and podcasts
Social
and,
media.
and social media and YouTube and things of that nature. So, it is a place where people are going to. If you're doing a book report now on the Panama Canal or on the Canal Zone, you're more likely now to go on to social media and go on to some of these social media channels and YouTube channels to listen to what they have to say. And this certainly is one place where people have a lot, to throw out there, and a lot of comments and just reliving a lot of memories, right? It's very nostalgic, but it
No,
it gives
we
people
have
that
stayed neutral.
enlightenment.
We
You
have
have
stayed
to.
neutral throughout these 2.5 years,
Yeah,
and
of
that's
course.
good, man. That's good that we haven't been with
Well, there's no
an
need to, because
agenda, so to speak, of what.
and I never
message
remember
we're
the
putting
Canal
out.
Zone ever being that way anyhow either. It was just a place
Yeah.
that was a community in general,
But
right?
you know what, Willie? We are learning from all our and let's get this show going, from all our research, is that the Canal Zone, the way it's portrayed as being, closed in, etc., it wasn't for any other reason than to control the labor force. And we're going to talk about that tonight a little bit when I get
Sure.
into my architectural segment, guys.
Yeah, no, and it was. I mean, listen, everything about the Canal Zone from its inception as the American version of it, and the Panama Canal was it was a government operation, right? And the Canal Zone, the original plans for a sea level canal didn't envision all these big communities, because you wouldn't need all that, right? You have a sea level canal, you have some infrastructure at the beginning and end of it, and that's really just more
All the
of,
labor
like,
you would need is
port and-
minimal.
and I mean, exactly. So you wouldn't have all these towns, and you think about it. Gamboa was a town that, you had a dredging division over there. Balboa was a very administrative place. Cristobal, same concept there. And those were really the three big, urban areas of the Canal Zone where everybody lived. You wouldn't have a need for that on a sea level canal. So it really does open up to that kind of conversation that says, well, why was it done this way? And there was a need for it at that time, right? And that's what we're, in Panama now, they're making it part of the curriculums in school that you have to learn about this stuff. So people are actively looking for that information, and they seek it out, and it's cool to be able to provide it and have, folks that come on here. Obviously Dave Dahlstrom does a great job of bringing his history there, and there's others that bring back their history, and we've had Jim Duff has come on and talk about what it's like to work on the locks. We have Captain Eftimitis telling us what it's like to transit a ship through the locks, and others like that it really does give it a perspective that nobody else seems to cover. And
And then the amount of people doing research. We got to get going. The amount of people doing research, all the things we find
where we
out.
going, man? We got to
I know, where are we going? Where are we going? Well, there are people who are finding out, like the Heart sisters. The band The Heart. Those girls grew up in the Canal Zone.
Well, I think we're finding out now that they may not have, that it may have been the
Oh,
older
it's
sister.
not. It's
Well, no, hold on.
AI.
Well, no. It's the older sister was the one that was born here. They have an older sister,
Correct.
and or not born here, but she lived here. They weren't
They
born
worked
yet.
there. Yeah.
And I guess when they moved back to the States is when the younger ones were born. But
Got you.
but there's still a zoning connection nonetheless, because
All right.
their sister lived in a zone, right? And so we can throw that out there. But again, that's still under investigation.
That's the guys that are doing the research for the big music piece that is going to be coming out soon.
Yeah, and that's
we're
that's
also, I think, next month, right? Next month's music month.
we're working on it. We're trying to. It's we're still trying to put some stuff together. It's interesting because that's one that we're working really very much in collaboration with Canal Zone Dictionary, and especially someone that's really stepped up to help out a lot is Mark Cicero, who's a avid music lover and a
Canal
music creator and video creator now, and he's helping to put a lot of that stuff together, because on the Canal Zone documentary side, they're building that database, that's all community based, and obviously, bands and entertainment and music, especially, in
I've
the
seen
teenage
some
years.
of the info they have there,
Yeah,
Willie, and it's like
cool,
all the
man.
bands from the 60s and 70s, the names, who the people were, pictures of them playing. It is amazing what's being put
and I'll tell you
together.
what's really amazing about it, Ricky, is that you have some of these people I never in my wildest dreams envisioned them playing in a band.
Oh yeah,
Me,
I
they
know
were
exactly what you're
parents,
talking about. I
you
know
know,
exactly
they-
what you're
I
talking
just-
about.
I'm
Lead
like,
singer too.
Wow, right on. You know, yeah, exactly. And others like that I've come to find out when you start reading through all those names and you're thinking, man, that's never saw that.
Yeah,
You
yeah. We didn't
never
see that
saw
one coming.
You know,
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
quite the change. But that's cool. It's a lot of fun. Let's say hello to some folks and then
Let's say
and then
hello,
move
yeah.
on because Ricky's got a cool segment on architecture on the building that
Is
is
that
actually
why I got
right
the
behind
butterflies?
us and between us
Jesus.
on the shot there behind us. You can't see it because the trees are covering it, but that's pretty much where it sits is right behind us between our
Oh,
shoulders
the
there.
clubhouse. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Right
So
that way.
yeah, it's down that row there, but
We got
nonetheless,
some great pictures for everybody. Hello, Jim. And
well,
Diane
we
Bradley.
did. We always did. We always have great weekends. It's always nice to start a weekend off at the yacht club like we did back in the zone, And in this case, so we got to revisit it on occasion, that set, because we haven't done that in a while, and there's no yacht club site in here. We got a bridge, we got the hill, we got El Prado, we got some of Balboa Balboa High
Commissary.
School gym, Balboa Elementary, right, but no yacht
Yeah,
club
we're
there.
right
So.
in the middle of the administrative.
But yes, and hopefully you're having a joyful week as well, and hopefully you're going to have a great weekend. Vern, good to see you, brother. I still got to get back to you on that information. I haven't had a chance to talk to Pat yet, but I'll get back to you on that. Either way, even if we meet out there somewhere, that would be cool. We're talking about going up to Minnesota to go check out that.
Oh, the Buckrose. Or the
Yeah,
Bucyrus.
the
Or,
excavator.
what am I know?
Bucyrus.
Bucyrus.
Yes. Look at Happy Friday from sunny Seattle. Look, he's on West Coast with you,
right
Ricky.
on, man.
Yeah, there you go.
Cool,
There you go. It's afternoon for you guys. Heck yeah, man.
Over here, 512.
Yep. It's 512. It's right along there. It's 812 over here.
Hello,
and of course,
hello.
712
Chris.
in Panama. Bill Duffus, good evening to you as well. Good to see you.
Office.
And Lori, good to see you as well. Happy
Lori.
Friday to you. Hello. And
Great
Mr.
group,
Dodd
great
Dupree,
group. Well, the
class of
Zonians.
86. And by the way,
Dupree?
our class of 86 lost a classmate
What?
today or yesterday, Karen Stallworth. Rest in peace, Zonian. Yeah, she was a good friend. She was a very, very good girl. Very, very nice person. I believe she was a Los Rios person, if I'm not mistaken. But definitely gone too soon. So rest in peace, Karen. And prayer to you and your family. Andrew, good to see you,
Hey,
man.
Andrew.
Yes, Buenos Aires.
Down
He's
in Buenos Aires. Yeah,
He
he's down
is.
there in
He is. He's down there with
Argentina.
those guys mourning the loss of their team. It was rough, man. They made it to the final. Yeah,
It was a good. I'll tell you what, that game with Spain, Argentina was probably, in my opinion, the best game of the whole World Cup. Man, I've never seen soccer like that. It turned me into a fan. Bro.
Actually, it was a good game for different reasons, but the third place game, England France, was a fantastic game. 10 goals.
Yeah, they said
A lot
that
of
was,
people complain about soccer, right? A lot of your naysayers on soccer, their complaint is there's no scoring, right? The soccer, the truly soccer fans, myself, I can watch a 0-0 game and go, man, that was a great game. Sucks they didn't score, but it was still a great game to watch. And a lot of people are like, man, nobody scored. That game sucks. Well, this was a great game. It was 10 goals, man. It was a lot of scoring and good quality scoring, good quality team. So, overall, listen, to me, the World Cup I thought was absolutely fantastic.
I have to agree.
Panama, again, some people will
A lot
tell
of
you
drama with the Panama team.
there is, but hey, good news is that they, the coach re-signed.
Re-signed, yeah, and then now we get to see all those young boys come up,
Now get
and
to
we
see
all
Ricky's
wanted to
boy
see
Kadir, man. We could listen.
Kadir
better
and
score
Stevie
because
Lopez.
Ricky's put a lot of stock in Kadir, man. So he better deliver, man, because
You know what? I hope it.
noise
Remember,
on that guy. I'm
remember
telling
the
you, man.
U.S. had a player like that too, a deer or something like that.
Freddie Adu.
Freddie
Adu.
I hope that doesn't happen to
Well,
him.
Freddie Adu is too young. They put that guy. Listen, he came into the U.S. national team at 16 years old.
Yeah, and they thought
Next
he was
he's
Pelé.
playing in Europe, and he peaked at like 17 or 18. And he's still a kid, and now he's there was too much too quick, and you got to listen. There's some of these guys that'll look at Ronaldo played till he's 41 now. I'm not saying Kadir's 41 years can play to 41, but
He's a strong kid. He's a big, strong kid, fast too, so he can overpower, which we saw in the last goal he made. He just
that
overpowered
was
that
pure
person.
strength. That was
all
pure strength. 'Cause that
strength,
guy did everything but grab him and tackle him.
And even that he couldn't. He
Exactly.
went right through that arm tackle.
No, listen, Panama's going to do well, and
Yep.
they're talking about expanding to 64 teams, which means that each confederation is going to have at least one or two more slots. And
You know what,
Panama,
Willie?
again, where they're at, I think they still have a good shot at getting back in.
I think it's because of the three nation, how successful it was. When you have three nations hosting, then you can have more games, right? That's what I'm assuming.
It really boils down to what the nations are, right? I mean, when they've had it in Germany, when you have it in, for example, in England, right? England looks like a small country. It's a small little, but England has some huge. They have the biggest soccer league in the world, the Premier League, right? And they have massive stadiums all around that country. You can support it in a place like that.
I understand.
You know, but some of these other places, Spain has two cities, Madrid and Barcelona, right? They have other cities, but they're you know, those stadiums hold 25,000-30,000 people. You're talking
Spain would
World
have
Cup.
to share,
And that's what they're doing. They're getting their 2 or 3, 4 big stadiums, you know, and Morocco has a couple of them, Portugal has a couple of them, and you know, and then they're going to throw in, because it's the 50th anniversary, I guess, or the 100th, whatever it is, of the World Cup. Yes, if the 100th, because 1930 was the first one. Uruguay was the original champion. So they're going to host a game. Argentina was the runner-up. They're going to host a game. And Paraguay, because, I don't know, Paraguay somehow got thrown in there. But those 3 countries are going to host the first game of that tournament, and then the rest of them go back to Morocco, Spain, and Portugal. So
Got you.
it's going to be interesting. But again, Panama's in a good spot for the World Cup.
Or coming back. All right,
You know,
well,
and
in
so,
4 years, we'll hit you guys up again with World Cup, man.
yeah, we'll start talking about it in about 2 years, because that's when they start qualifying. That's when you start seeing them playing their games against Central America and the Caribbean and see what they do. And now the likes of Canada, these people actually have to qualify. They're not granted.
Right. They don't get a free pass.
Well, so,
From here to there, we got a lot of bochincha to catch up with you guys.
we do. So, Keith, good to see you, Coach. Good to see you.
Hey,
again.
Keith, how are you, Mr. Jordan?
Bien, a la reja, exactly.
Speaking of Los Rio boys, John Canzero, my brother, right on. A la reja.
Who said
Tres
a la reja?
patines,
That's
tres
right.
patines.
Remember that? That was a classic lunchtime show, man. Either on the radio
Right after
or
St.
on
Mary's,
TV,
we all go to
man.
John's house, you know, because
Oh,
he had
what a
he
great
had like the first Betamax, the first color
Right.
TV, you know, the first everything. You know.
And what
Then he
was
would take it all apart,
okay,
build it
now,
all back together, and then we'd watch.
So, what was the saying when he'd always get sentenced at the end of the show?
Cosa más grande de la vida.
Yeah, because every time he would have the most outrageous. That was like the original Night Court.
Oh, absolutely.
Right.
That's a good comparison.
Yeah,
for
it
sure.
was, man. But it was really fun. It was silly humor, but it was funny humor at the time, especially, you know, in Spanish, the way they did it. That was a fun show, man.
Cuban.
You
It was
can't
a
laugh.
Cuban show.
It was
Yeah,
Cuban.
all the Canal Zone kids grew up with that.
You're absolutely right. It was Cuban. It was before Castro. That show was made in the
yeah.
50s, man. That was the original black and white TV.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Corzal, that's what it was. Yep. Yeah, rest in
I
peace.
bet you that show probably started on the radio, Willie, and made its way over.
Probably. Yeah. And that's probably, you know, they didn't have much else to put on there, but they got TV to put out there. So, hey, dude, you're on TV now. You know, and it was simple to make, right? You have a setting with a judge and a railing and a guy standing there. That's the whole set. I mean, every time that was the whole set. But that was good. Good stuff, man. That's reminiscing there, man. That's going back. So,
Thanks, John Canzero.
yeah. Appreciate you making us go in that direction. Oh, sharing them on the air. Sorry. My daughter.
Turn
called me.
that off. I
You
just turn mine off.
Yeah,
Vale,
it's
sigue, papi, sigue. Vamos bien.
Yeah, no, we're good. So let's move things right along here then, of course, because we're gonna get some quick announcements, and not much on that end there, but we still want to obviously,
Oh, we got a little bit.
you know,
Got some shorty
go-
and slim announcements.
go into that stuff, and then the other thing we're gonna do as soon as we get done with those announcements, before we you know, obviously we've got our sponsor, our Howler Monkey Sauce, but also we're gonna do a SCN world premiere of the Guayabera video.
Oh, right. Oh, yes.
from James
Willie,
Slater.
you worked on this one too, right?
Yes, I created.
You got
this
your hands
video.
on this one too? All right on, Willie. Right
Yeah.
on.
Yeah, this one was, and it's got a couple of outtakes at the end that are kind of funny as well. So that's going to be a lot of fun. And then again, don't forget, guys, when we get done here, before we wrap up, we're going to do our Canal Zone mailbag and answer a couple of questions, you know, that some
like this
people have
one.
answered. And there's one question we're going to throw it out there to some people, and one of the names that came up that could help us find some information on that just chimed in on the chat there. So we're going to find out some stuff about our friendly hill up there, Ancon Hill and stuff like that. We're going to try to, but anyhow, let's go ahead and go to our K-Pasa, sponsored by our Canal Zone documentary Substack.
SCN Television presents K-Pasa, And now here's this evening's host, Army Sergeant Bob Foster.
Good evening and welcome to KFOSA. We've got two guests tonight. First Sergeant First Class Jim Webb. Sergeant Webb's with the 227th Military Police Detail.
That's the Substack, our sponsor, and that's part of the Canal Zone documentary. It's like a newsletter, right? It's like an email newsletter you subscribe to, and they throw out a lot of cool information there and throw out a lot of questions, community type questions,
and listen, the more participants, the better this documentary is going to represent us. So our voices are very important.
Yeah, for sure.
Chime in there. Leave your notes. Leave your story.
Yeah, because you know what? The stories go with us, right? And so we got to put them down somewhere. And let's be honest, we're all lazy. None of us are going to sit down and write them down. None of us are going to sit
Carl
and
Berg.
record.
Carl Berg did a great job.
Right. But nobody's going to sit and record on a microphone and start, recording themselves talking and go, hey guys, this, that, and the other, But you can, and you have this opportunity because things.
It could be short stories, right, Willie?
Well, and it could be maybe there's a topic about like we've talked about, for example, the Christmas tree burn, right? Mm-hmm. One of the things that made the Canal Zone community, a fun place to grow up and have some really cool memories was that Christmas tree hunt and protecting your trees and raiding somebody else's trees. That was an adventure, man. That was taking our bikes out at 7, 8 o'clock at night. And if you were, a little older and more adventurous and either your parents were more asleep or were kind of cool, you might be going out at midnight with some people and go and raid some houses and grab some trees, man. And but those kind of community stories you'll never find in any books or in any documentaries anywhere. Yeah. Right?
Or our favorite ice cream, butter brickle.
Yeah, right. Never understood that, man. To me, the sound of that was like, ugh, butter. Butter.
I don't know. There was something about it. It was like a love-hate relationship with butter brickle. Because there was sometimes where I'd be like, why didn't I go for the Neapolitan? The one with the 3 flavors?
Right,
like, Mom.
They made good ice cream. It was.
I think they could have been the cheaper one. Was that the cheapest one of the bunch? We had strawberry, chocolate, vanilla.
We had them all. That was a thing, and that was
all made down there too.
Right. That was one of those offshoots of the original plans back in the day. That how do you keep these guys from not leaving, man? The
attrition level
chasing them away, and the backbreaking work is chasing them away at 120 degrees in Culebra Cut.
50% attrition levels.
Yeah.
At the beginning, half of the people would leave.
How do you keep them? Well, get them some ice cream.
This is what we're going to talk about. The clubhouse. Club has a lot to do with keeping a lot of people there, man. So that's why we're giving them the recognition of being the second building. Tivoli had to be the first. The second building that we talk about.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Well,
but before that, let's remember, guys. Our conversations now regarding reunion, the Canal Zone has 2 opportunities for folks to get together and reminisce, outside of course, Friday nights here. And that's the reunions, the one in Orlando that just happened a couple of weeks ago, and then the one that's coming up now in January in Panama, the Canal Zone reunion. And so, those folks do a great job down there. And we typically try and give them both coverage, but, fortunately, they don't overlap at all. It's really 50-50.
6 months apart, which is perfect.
Yeah, it's absolutely perfect. And so now we'll be talking more about that one. So stay tuned for that. And obviously, CZR, Canal Zone Reunion, look them up on Facebook and get signed up. They have a email, newsletter and things of that nature. So they'll stay in contact with you when they have things that are coming up, especially because one of the things that's key about this reunion, unlike the one in Orlando, it's very much about going out of the hotel and reliving some of the stuff in the zone or visiting these places, a lot of experiences that you do, and they're limited in capacity. So,
the train ride.
Listen, some of those get filled up within a day, right?
The boat cruise.
Once they know that they're going to have it, and they'll tell you, hey, it's going to start on Tuesday the 21st is when you can start buying tickets. You got to know these things, right? And so stay connected with them and stay involved, and we'll certainly try and pass on information where we can on that, So it's.
I got an announcement, Willie. Speaking of Alex Reyes with Shorty and Slim, they're doing everything they can to save our railroad station building, and I hope they do. But you know what? They really got to wipe out the whole McDonald's thing and that little building on the side next to.
Hey, Robert, happy birthday to you, brother.
Hey, happy birthday, Mr. Joyce. Happy birthday? Did you say happy birthday?
His birthday was.
Oh, right on. I'm just saying what you're saying. Right on. Happy birthday, Robert.
He just repeats it.
Yeah. Well, listen, Shorty and Slim was going to have a concert, but they had to reschedule it, guys. So if you guys were going to go there this Saturday or Sunday, whenever it was, it got rescheduled to August 16th.
Good.
Just a couple weeks, 3 weeks from now.
Yeah, but it's more time to build it up and get more people involved.
Build it up, right? So they got a good set put together. So yes, hope to see everybody out there that's down there. Go give them some love. Hopefully, we can save that railroad. You know, even if they just save the center structure, you know, the bulky one.
Correct.
You know, the rest they can get rid of, but if they just save that one there and then work around it or something and put the rest of the museum.
You know, I mean, the Panama Railroad was the transition from Panama being a colonial place from Spain, which had already died anyway. I mean, you honestly think about it. When did Spain's empire really end? In the 1600s, 1700s. So what was Panama after that? It was a province of various other people for 200 or 300 years, right? Until the Panama Railroad brought it into prominence again, and suddenly it became a place that was of value, and that led 50 years later to the United States saying, hey, you want a country? We want a canal. Let's shake on it, right? And so that railroad has always been a centerpiece of what people can consider the beginnings of Panama, right? It was called the Panama Railroad, right? It wasn't the Grand Columbia Railroad. It wasn't the Columbia Railroad. It was the Panama Railroad, even in 1855. That's really the first global recognition of Panama as its own country, its own area. And I think it's not asking a lot to protect that little small
under the
area.
Spanish, it wasn't Panama City. It was San Fuego del Oro or something like that.
And crazy three-name thing with some queen and man with a woman name thing or whatever. So it really was a whole different.
Hey, Mr. Pat. Hey, thanks for taking up my co-host here with you to go see that Bucyrus. He just chuleta, man. Some words from with me just don't stick.
He's trying, man.
Well, that's what I got for announcement. I got a little bochinche for everybody.
Yeah, no, that was important because that whole thing was going to be on Sunday, so make sure you don't go there, you know, and gives them time to build it up. Because listen, you get some recognition, and suddenly, you know, aren't there elections coming around the corner here soon in Panama? No? Okay, well then that doesn't help. That would have been good though, because typically elections help get stuff done like
29. We got a ways to go, man. Yeah, only like midway through the last one.
Listen, that's an election cry for somebody, man.
Yeah,
somebody will jump on that and protect it just to get those votes, and that always helps, right?
Well, speaking of politicians, you know, our lovely mayor that we love so much on this show, but have not been talking about him. Our boy went from 86% approval rating down to 29. You know why? Because he just, you know, he's working now. He's not doing the whole social media and whatnot. So,
there's been some things going on in Panama that's unfortunately sometimes they reflect on.
Well, the good things that are going on. We've been reporting to you guys, at least I have, every freaking week about the Chinese and the Panamanians going at it.
Right.
And you know, all the bad things that were going on. And you know, last week we told you the Chinese wouldn't even confirm a meeting. Like, F you guys. Well, the Panamanians figure out how to get in there. Smooth the Chinese. Guess what, Willie? Nothing but handshakes. They went from 100 and something inspections down to 16.
Isn't that amazing?
Isn't that amazing? These freaking Panamanians, man. They go in there. Hey, bro, come here, man. Jeez. Let's drink a beer. Let's just chit chat about this. Okay, bro.
You know, I mean, they're, you know, Japan getting involved is certainly waking up China.
Exactly what it was. And not only that, Willie, because Japan's like,
Japan, they're Akira. Good
morning. They're speaking of Japan, right? Oh, Japan. Hey, you know, Panama, Japan signed a direct flight deal. Yeah. Japan said, hey, listen, we're going to finance all your mega projects. And not only that, we want our companies to come in there and bid them. So no wonder China's like, oh, guess what, Panama? You're our best friends. You know why also, Willie? The gas duct. They just got all their studies in. So the gas duct's going to go out to bid between $4.2 billion to $8 billion.
Well,
so a bunch of people are going to be
debt trap diplomacy involved. Honestly, I mean that's not
not anymore. They can't trap nada, man. They're going to be paying our little country all that money. And not only that, Willie, remember how the 2 ports that China lost?
Right.
Well, the year and a half is up. So
Yeah.
those 2 ports plus the 2 that already went out to bid, so that's 4 ports now are up to bid, plus the gas
agent.
duct, plus the train.
Yeah.
So
Those,
let's
those
shake
two
hands
ports are
and be
now-
buds.
The ports of Cristobal and Balboa are free agents now.
Yeah. Oh yeah. They're free agents. You know, the bidding process starts soon.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, at the end of the day, God, we're really happy that we worked it out with the Chinese. There's,
100%.
you know, everything's back to normal, and truly cheers to the negotiating team. They really freaking did a good job. And whatever happens at that Canal Zone reunion in Panama stays at the Canal Zone reunion in Panama, like our good friend Joy said. Willie, what happened? Squirrel? I think, Willie, we lost your voice, brother. All right, so what else is going on in Panama? Oh, big news. 15 Panamanians have signed contracts. Willie, still can't hear you. Or maybe you can't hear me.
No, you were good. You were good.
All right, we're good.
Some interruption back here.
15 Panamanians have signed contracts to go fight either on the Ukraine side or on the Russian side.
Wow.
15. And these are like ex-guys that worked for SPI, you know, which is the people that provide protection to the president,
Sure.
etc., like the Secret Service.
Yeah,
and from
and
Senafront.
former military people as well. You know, they're like, want to fight. There's an opportunity to fight.
Yeah, so now they're calling, you know, saying, hey, man, you got to stop this. And Panamanians are like, what? We didn't even know. So the Ukrainians are down there recruiting. Wow, man, our Panamanians, 15.
Yeah.
One, and they all are in contact with their family. One apparently has lost contact. So once you lose contact, you're pretty much done, you know. Poor kid. And he was on the Russian side. Yeah. Poor kid.
It's a shame what's going on there, man.
Yeah,
Everything
ACP, little ACP news. You know, El Nino is rearing his head. Everybody's panicking. So ACP has brought their transit Willie down a little bit, just to, you know, even though our water levels are no problem at this point, but they brought 4 ships less. You know, I think they went from 38 to 34.
and they're putting in contingencies as well.
Yeah,
you know, which is
so
smart.
they're doing the smart move ahead. I mean, ACP's got a lot of years of experience now running the Panama Canal. Plus, remember, they had the 20 years of like training with the U.S. personnel.
Correct.
So ACP, those guys know canal, bro. Those guys.
And listen, look, they've been operating the canal for upwards of 40 years now. Right. Yep. You know, I mean, they know what they're doing, and they've added the second canal, which is 100% their operation they've been running. And, you know, I mean, listen, I mean, they put in a bidding, which I don't know if you're going to mention here or not as well, but that, you know, the whole bidding thing to get to the front of the line, that they've now suspended that because of, you know, or have plans to suspend it because of this whole El Nino and anticipation of water levels dropping. So, you know, it's part of the gig. What's really interesting is that they're in such a great position, and especially right now with the amount of shipping that has increased with everything going on in the Middle East, and yet they're saying now, guess what? We're gonna have to back up even further. So I don't know if that's gonna do anything to the rates, you know, but
it's still a choke point.
It certainly shows the importance of this canal.
Remember,
no matter
before
what.
they had also lowered the weight. What there's a word for that, like the draft.
The draft, yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, measures are being taken, are being put in place.
Well, you know, I mean, this is the one thing about the Panama Canal. It's a really great operation. The whole setup is fantastic. The way they created this and everything about it is just really well done. And everything Panama's done since then is well done. But there is one Achilles heel to the Panama Canal, is that it needs water to operate. There's no ends and buts about that. You know, lots of water to operate. And so, you know, even with the mechanisms that they put in place with the reservoirs next to the new wider locks, it still needs a lot of water to operate. And so, you know, in these drought situations, all of a sudden, guess what? Your mighty Panama Canal is not
Achilles heel, like you said. Yeah, but we're good. We're good right now. No levels, all our levels on both the
last time they had that
the reservoirs,
2 years ago,
everything.
We got past it 2 years ago the same way. Remember 2 years ago, everybody was saying the end of the Panama Canal.
Well,
it's the Panama Canal.
I hate to say, but it doesn't sound like they were ready for that one.
No.
I could be wrong, but that's what it seemed.
It's like that mighty train in Mexico that's going to put the canal out of business.
That was funny, Willie. But I think now they're ready, no problem. So, yeah. I said pay all the way. Canal Zone government.
Right on. Hey, Tanya, good to see you.
Hey, Tanya, my
It was good to see her at the
beautiful
reunion
neighbor.
too. It was fun to see her at the reunion. Very nice.
No way, I missed a good reunion, man.
Yeah, you did, man. It was a lot of fun.
My house is now safe and secure. Everything's been poured. All the existing house is now secured to our foundation system, so I can go now to the reunion. Can we have another one?
I know, right? Yeah, well, get ready for January. You know, you need to work. You need to get that one going that they used to do in September here in.
Oh, I
St.
love
Pete,
that one.
Clearwater.
I went
That was a lot
the
of fun.
1 year 2010, and that was phenomenal.
That was a good time. That was a good time. It was very and those are very informal hangout type reunion there. You know, very little if any activities, but still organized. You know, I mean, it was
50 people showed up to that one.
It had a good turnout, man.
Alrighty, Willie.
Red Frog Beach reservations, fishing in Pedacia and Verbo on the causeway set up for. Oh, look at this guy, man! Right on. That's right. Because hey, this is class of '87's year, right? This is their reunion, so that's right. They're gonna have. And speaking of, this is something we want to do. Class of '87, Pat, get a couple of folks on that want to do a class of '87. We're gonna. This is something I'd like to do with a class, and only like 4 people because obviously we don't want to fill the screen with a bunch of crazy Zonians.
Even though the 89ers did a good job, all those
they
crazy
did.
89ers.
They did. It was they did. They were respectful, but get about 4 of these guys. And start with the show in August or September, beginning of the school year. Okay, let's go back to 1987. Actually, really would be 86, August of 86, right? Beginning of the school year, Where was your locker? Mine was at the beginning of the 600 building, all the way at the end there by the parking lot.
Look at Leaf.
There you go, the best class, 87. There you go, see? And so talk about that because remember, one of the cool things about BHS was the first week of school was also the first week of football. And right away, the first Friday night, you already had a football game. You already were playing, high school.
No, we had Jamboree first.
Yeah, that's right. It was Jamboree. That's right. That's what it was. The first Friday night was Jamboree, so it was on the other side. So you're in school.
Immediately, you got your girlfriend, the train ride. Woo! What years, man. That senior year was good.
So that would be cool to do that. And then, come back again maybe in October, November. And talk about, okay, football season's over. What was the season like? Have some people talk about, well, we can pull up the from the Canal Zone, library at University of Florida, at the museum. We can pull up the yearbooks and start looking through and say, okay, here was the football season, what the records were, right? And start talking about a couple of things there. It'd just be a fun time to relive that senior year all the way through and have it like 4 or 5 appearances, and the last one being in May or June, right before graduation, or talk about graduation night and all the adventures you're allowed to talk about, on this family show. But I think it would be
a
cool to
happy
have
hour,
that,
man. We're drinking in this happy hour.
I know, right? That is true. It is. On YouTube when you upload and you open a channel like that, they ask you to put age restrictions. And we do put age restrictions on because we're talking about drinking, and so you have to, it has to be, it's got to be 18 or older. So even silly things like that. But so we are covered, so we can talk about filthy things as well. No, I'm kidding. But anyhow, so think about it: class of '87, class of '82 as well. If we want to do that, that would be cool to get some class of '82 folks that want to, relive that class of '82 year, that senior year, what that was like, that your last year in the zone, because a lot of people after graduation, they go to the States, right? And they go to college, and then that's it. Especially
like me, stay one semester to play football and then leave.
And that, exactly, right? Remember that. But the thing is, especially at this era where the transition really was to go to the States anyways, right? Because the Canal Zone was coming to an end. And so it was a great excuse. Well, you go to college in the States and you stay there and you just live your life there because, the Canal Zone's over. And so you started getting more and more of that. And so that senior year became, a special year because that was, for a lot of people, their last year in the Canal Zone. And it would be fun to relive that. I think it would be a cool show. So let me know if you guys want to do it. I think we'd have a lot of fun doing that. But, all right, let's see. So I won't be included too crazy. No, you definitely won't. And no, yeah, Leaf, I'd have to be hitting that mute button every 5 minutes with this guy, man. Are you kidding me? If I know Leaf, man. Draft in the summer. Yes, that's right. You did have the draft in the summer. I remember that because it wasn't a sure thing, right? You were getting picked. Before that, it was based on your name.
We had you had 2-a-days. You had all summer football practice. Yeah.
We ran the cage from Balboa Stadium, carried it down Section I, blocking traffic and everything, and ran it back to Diablo to the fields over there because that was Coach McGee's favorite contraption was the cage.
That's where
man.
our senior practice was.
Yeah, the Jamboree was a lot of fun, man. That was a cool time because you got to play football, you got to kick off the season, so you kind of knew like, okay, we're playing football now, but you were able to evaluate how good you were going to be. You were thinking, okay, well, what's our season going to be like, right? You were moving the ball a little bit, you were playing some good defense. Okay, it's going to be a good season. They're like, damn, you gave up 3 touchdowns in 1 quarter. You're going to have a shitty season, man.
My senior year, we won the Jamboree Bulldogs.
Yeah, it was fun. Jamboree was a lot of fun. It really was, man. Because that was the time that everybody got to get together, right? It was the only time that you had all the teams out there, and it's not like you had massive facilities anywhere. So, one team's at one corner of the field, the other team's at the other corner when you weren't playing, and it was a cool time, man. That was a really cool event for the zone, the Jamboree. We should do something on that. That would be a cool show to get.
Yeah, there's a lot of history too behind it. Who started it? A guy Palumbo, I believe, from the other side. But yeah, there's a lot of history to that we can share. Maybe bring in the Atlantic side or the Gold Coasters.
Yeah,
and do a show with them.
Agreed. Because that would definitely be a great show to talk about here. So Jamboree Atlantic side was the best. Yes,
Coach Downing we can probably bring him if he's available.
Yes, he was at the reunion again. I didn't get to see him, but he was there.
Yeah, he would. Yeah. I would love to have him on, just like we had the Pacific side coaches.
Yeah. No, that would be fun.
On Willie, and speaking of right on Willie, by the way, is doing a very good job trying to get Mrs. Marota to come by and say hi on the show.
I would love to especially coming up on the Canal Zone or the Canal opening, right? The anniversary.
We're trying, guys. Well, Willie is more than anything. I have to use my palanca sooner or later.
Hey, anybody that can help me facilitate.
But we got Andy in there pulling palanca, Pablo Prieto in there pulling palanca. Yeah. We're doing everything we can.
Who would be the best one to call, man?
To smooth her over and see if she can come on and say hi to the, folks.
Because and she has a connection to the Canal Zone because she went to school with a lot of Zonians.
With a lot of Zonians, yeah. And like I said, and we already told you, she she started like any other Zonian would have started if they had stayed at the bottom of the canal, working in the canal and working your way up. Luke Palumbo, yep, that's it.
His father started Jamboree. Yeah, that name was definitely a name that even on the Pacific side was a recognized name. That would be on that wall of fame up there. I have an old parakeet article on TV. Oh, cool, right on. Yeah, and that's one thing that guys, if you it's like everything else. We wish we could have saved all these things, and we didn't, And I mean, heck, I don't even think I have a yearbook of mine. I think I lost all of those. But the really cool thing is that you can go to the Panama Canal Museum collection. The University of Florida hosts them, and they have an amazing digitized collection of everything from spillways to the school newspapers, the parakeet, the yearbooks. It's a great place to go and relive all that stuff. And even like I said, the Spillway was a really cool little newspaper. It was very local. So, every so often you'll see stories. Remember that I posted that one today about the football game where you see that quarterback running, and just fun stuff like that where you'd see. And a lot of times it's your friends, and here they are in the newspaper getting mentioned for doing something cool, but all of that stuff you can find it on that museum. It's a great place to.
We'll post that. We have it up there. We'll post it. What about banners?
Yeah. No, it is because it is a really cool thing. Found it was Paloma. Yeah, no, absolutely. That's definitely something that family. Like I said, that family has a football legacy in the Canal Zone for sure.
So do the Downings. The Downings,
correct.
The Downings played as well. Like the Dares. The Downings are the Dares.
Well, the Dare Coach Dare was on the Pacific side.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They were like the Downings were the Dares of the Pacific side.
Yeah, exactly. Founding fathers of football. And it's cool to see even going back to some of the newspapers and the yearbooks like in the 50s, because I remember playing football and for example, Mr. Nickisher was a referee. I always had him on the field there, right? And then you read in the newspaper and Mr. Nickisher was a quarterback for the Bulldogs in the 50s. And that's how far back football went in Panama. Coach Dare and Coach Downing, these guys, they're the ones that brought Little League football into Panama, because prior to that it was just high school, and then they had some, I guess you could call it JV or things like that, right? But we didn't have the actual Little League like you did with these guys. And
68, right? That's when Little League first came in. Yeah.
Yep. And we've had some of those folks on some of those original teams, that have Ray Maston and company, Larry Cicero, and all these
Those are
guys.
the
And-
OGs.
yeah, man. And then of course, the Kiwanis came along and what a legacy they've had. In fact, speaking of the Kiwanis, I don't know if you were going to mention this tonight or not, but the other day I saw something where their football organization was in Mexico talking to probably more than anything universities. Yeah, and when I think you're starting to get an interest in professional football in Mexico as well. And
they have a pro league there, and they also have a big university league that a lot of the students go there.
Well, but that's what they were doing. They're there to promote more of it, and really a lot of times when they do these things, kind of like what you mentioned last week with that Fanatics Fest, is what they set up in these places. Oftentimes is helping with funding for facilities and stuff, right? And so maybe a lot of these organizations in Mexico will help build some training facilities in Panama to filter people in, and from there now they've got basically free scouting and get them into that pipeline early. And so it's cool to see all that coming from a Kiwanis legacy that started at the Canal Zone Junior Football
Listen,
League.
they're ranked 8th in the world right now in flag football. And they have a
Canal
chance to
Zone can be
represent
proud
the
of
Olympics.
being the founding seed of that football in Panama is the Canal Zone. 100%.
Hey, I like to think that our pounding taught them, started their DNA on the right path.
Listen, these guys
because we never gave them any chances. I mean, we would beat those guys 82-0.
No,
and they learned the hard way. And here they are
rivalry.
today, man, ruling the
Figured
world.
it out. Let me tell you what, when they figured it out, those were tough games, guys. Yeah. Those were
That's
rivals.
why we love all the Kiwanis.
And I mean,
man.
we had how many people can brag that they had the president of the country, rooting for the team that represented the country against the American team in a football game like that in the Shrine.
Wyanko made it to one game. So did Lacas. He made it to a game too.
That's what the Kiwanis meant to Panama. That was their window into the Canal Zone. In a lot of ways, was through sports, through the Kiwanis. It was always on the news. It was in the newspapers whenever Kiwanis had wins because they were beating Americans. Any win for the Kiwanis, think about it, was a win against an American. Whether it was a military team, a Cristobal, a Rams, it was beating an American team, and that was a big deal in the 70s and 80s.
Big deal when they first started. I mean, after like 2-3 years, they got really good. They weren't bad for very long.
No, they
2 years max, 3 years.
And listen, when you have a million people to pick from, you're going to find good players.
Yeah, and they did because we've had them on and they've talked about it. They didn't just select anybody. They told us a lot of kids didn't make the club. Like half made it, half didn't.
They could afford to be picky, man.
That tried out. Bueno, pues.
Yeah,
that's it. What we have for Bolchinche.
Yeah, that was cool, man. That was some good stuff there. Again, guys, stay tuned for Canal Zone reunion because you're going to start seeing stuff pop up on that now, and then like Ricky said, that Balboa train station concert now has been moved over to August, so pay attention to that August as well because if you're going to be in Panama or if you're in Panama currently, spread the word, get a lot of people out there, get some eyes on it, start creating a buzz, and who knows, I mean, anything's possible until they actually tear it down. Once they tear it down, it's gone, but until that happens
soon too, that day's coming quick.
All right, I think I saw a picture on Facebook of the Gambo Elementary being demolished. I know there's a grassroots Save Balboa Railroad Station there, other iconic. Yeah, I mean that's and that maybe is one of those things that becomes a movement to start preserving a lot of these, because even the one that we didn't complain about several months ago, but how they quickly went in overnight, on the West Bank and tore down that Chinese monument. Again, I wasn't complaining about it, but when you tear something down, there's no chance in hell they're going to rebuild it. Okay, we're sorry. Well, now you got to rebuild it. It's not going to happen. It's gone.
I wonder what the story with that monument is, because I haven't heard anything, and I've been trying to pay attention, but there's nothing out there right now.
It faded away.
Yeah.
And that's what'll happen if somebody comes in and goes, well, what do you mean? No, they told you to stop.
Well, listen, the Chinese and the Panamanians just negotiated, right? They're all peaceful, so who knows what they negotiated? I want this monument. I want this, that, the other.
I want that Balboa train torn down.
If we see a monument pop up, believe me, that's a good thing now, because that was used as a leverage to get it back at peace. Because taking on a world power like that, come on, man, Jesus Christ.
Or
we got better things to deal with. We don't want to have to slap the Chinese around. No, just kidding.
Well, we want to. We do. we
Bloop, there goes our channel, man. Okay, John, sorry. All right, let's get into some architecture before I get in trouble here, Willie.
Well,
man.
let's actually do this real quick. So, we're gonna get our sponsor on there. Play a short video, and actually, let's do the video here. We'll do the sponsor.
Yeah, let's do some videos
in there.
Yeah, let's do that.
But this will be really cool. This was James Slater was on our show back in October of last year. James Slater's BHS class of '76. He was at the reunion with his graduating class this year. He was also in that rock and roll scene in the '70s and '80s, and you know, Ricky's referred to that era when they had, for example, Toe Jam was that big concert at Balboa Stadium and things of that. Hey, Mark, good to see you, man. Speaking of rock and roll music, so James was on in October, and it was a really, really, really fun show. He was on sitting at his piano. He had his camera set up there and his mic, and he would play tunes. He would sing along. It was just a really cool, relaxing, reminiscing. It was definitely a happy hour at the Balboa Yacht Club. It really was a true happy hour. And James is a very accomplished musician. He graduated class of '76, and from there he went to the University of Miami. They have a very famous music school there. And he graduated from there, and from there he went on to Switzerland and started his music career up there. He started, singing, playing piano was his thing, but he also was writing music, and he started writing music for some hits that were in the '70s, in the late '70s in Switzerland or in Europe that he was responsible for. Then he moved to LA for a little while, and then he ended up settling down in Nashville, where he's at now. He kind of hops down to the Keys a little bit every so often.
Who are some of the people he writes for? I mean,
well,
he writes like for Willie Nelson.
He does, all the big ones. He is on the who's who of country music. He is definitely written songs for them, from, like you said, Willie Nelson,
Reba McEntire.
I mean, Tim McGraw.
I remember the list, but I can't remember all the names.
Chesney, just a ton of them, So, he's a great songwriter and also a great musician. And so he's also put down his own, and for sure a great Zonian. But he created or produced an album of songs, and one of them is a song called Guayabera. And we all know the Guayabera because that was something I know my dad, once he moved to the detective division, I mean, he almost exclusively wore Guayaberas, because I see any pictures of my dad at the police station, in detective uniform, he wore a Guayabera most of the time, On occasion, he wears.
Yeah, didn't we do Guayabera for the night he was on? We did Guayabera one night. I forgot what it was.
We did, And
let's repeat that. Let's do Guayabera.
Mitchie Hearns, now Mitchie Overstreet, when she got married, I was part of the wedding party, and all of us wore Guayaberas. We all had Guayaberas made for us. So it's an iconic shirt of Panama, and so he wrote this cool song about it, and then he asked me to do a video of the song, and so I did, and so let's go ahead and if you haven't seen it yet, this is going to be the Happy Hour at the Balboa Yacht Club premiere of Guayabera. So enjoy.
In 1970s Panama, the Guayabera was the uniform of cool. Lightweight and sharp, it showed up everywhere, from family parties to the yacht club and late nights in the city.
I'm a Panamaniac, don't drive a Cadillac. I'm chilling in the back of a Chiva. Bus stop smiling while I wait. She's dancing merengue, watching that full bunda sway. Back and forth while she walk, tick-tock, like a Swiss clock. And I'm sweating in my Guayabera. Hey! Guayabera. Hey! Why I better get a number, 'cause I'm sweating in my Guayabera. Sabor. I'm a Panamaniac, used to have a band, high school, real cool. Drinking that cerveza, ice cold, muy frio. Back in the jungle, armed forces radio. On my dial, rockin' Black Dog, oye como va. That was Panama, sweating in my Guayabera. Hey! Guayabera. Hey! Why I better get a number, 'cause I'm chillin' in my Guayabera. Viva Panamá, sudando en mi guayabera. I'm a Panamaniac, no matter where I'm at. I'll always be loving on the ocean, dreaming of the sea and the Caribbean. Forever 17, hope I never lose this feeling, cause I'm feeling you, and are you feeling this guayabera? Hey! Guayabera. Hey! Guayabera. Get a number, cause I'm chilling in my guayabera. Guayabera. Hey! Guayabera. Why I better get a number, cause I'm chilling in my guayabera. Never gonna forget where I come from, never gonna forget where I come from, never gonna forget where I come from, never gonna forget where I come from.
Nice shirt.
Sabor.
Looking for a date?
Those dude told me to walk by you and say, nice guayabera, dude. I don't even know what a guayabera is, man.
What the hell is that?
What the hell you looking at?
Sabor.
Oops, sorry, I was muted. Yeah, that was cool, man. That was a lot of fun. That was really fun to do. My favorite part on it was when he walked past himself and he looked.
Yeah, I like that. That was good. That was Balboa, good job all the way around, Willie.
It was.
Oh yeah, this is a good talent that you have mastered in the last 2 years.
I have. So if anybody wants a video, man, let me know. You know, I'm just a little, but
through the manager first, though.
Yeah. Give Ricky a call and he'll set everything up for you and get you going there. But yeah, that was fun. Right. It was a lot. It was very, very nostalgic. And it. For example, the beginning when he's describing, that's his dad actually, and that was just a picture of his dad sitting, in playing a mandolin. His dad played a mandolin a lot, and he was sitting at.
He was a doctor. His dad.
Yes, and he was in Key West, sitting there at a place, Hog's Breath Saloon, and so I just took that picture, and I was like, you know what, let me do something with that, and so, I actually just threw together. I had. Chat GPT, I said, write me a cool description of a guayabera for the Canal Zone. And that's when they go in 1970s, a guayabera, and it came up with that. And I was able to lip sync it onto him. And so he's sitting there, talking and playing. It was really fun. It was a lot of fun to do. It took a long time because, it's, AI, the thing about AI is it's amazing to do things, but it costs a lot of credits, man. You especially if you don't know what you're doing, you'll go like 5 or 6 iterations of it before you're like, okay, fine, I got it, and all of a sudden you're like, holy shit, that cost me.
We got a nice saludo from Pearl, Mississippi for you, Mr.
Right on.
Willie John Goff. Right on, Mr. Goff the third.
Good to see you from Pearl. Yeah,
hey, I got some good news from our brother Ralphie.
Yeah, Ralphie, and happy birthday to you.
Ralphie. Oh, yeah, happy birthday, Ralphie. You know that we just mentioned that Willie is trying hard to get in there and get Mrs. Mariota on our show. Well, Ralphie was able to get a confirmation that she's interested to come on our show. Right on, Ralphie. Good job.
Brother, absolutely.
Canal Zone Frankie, muy bien.
Yeah, that would be a lot of fun. I think that would be a great, and I mean, she deserves a recognition. She's running the Panama Canal, man.
Well, if she's gonna come on, might as well try to get my uncle to come on. He's already in his 80s. So, hey, Kevin Barsness, right on.
Good to see you, Kevin.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate that.
His dad was a Canal Zone police on the Bush Patrol.
The Bush Patrol, right on. God, I love all you guys. Everybody,
that was a lot of fun, man. That was I thoroughly enjoyed doing that.
Yes, Vern loved it. All right, everybody.
It was fun. So, but anyhow, let's go ahead and talk some Balboa, because that would.
Well, let's get no. We gotta pay some bills, Willie.
Yeah, that is true. That is true.
Don't forget to subscribe and hit like too. We're getting close to 500, so everybody, please subscribe.
Yeah, so we're gonna go back to the cooking competition one more time, and then hopefully next week we're gonna have our final tryout for that Howler Monkey Sauce Sports.
Oh, well, right on. I got some ideas for you.
So
cool.
He's,
but listen, guys, we're at 457 on subscribers on the one channel. I mean, I guess if you add them all together, we're over 500. But let's get to 500. Help us get there, guys. 500 is a big number for us.
Subscribe to the channel on YouTube. Go to the one channel 8. I almost want to stop, broadcasting to the other one so that everybody goes to that channel. And trying to build it up, trying to get some more numbers there, because the higher the number goes, the more that YouTube then starts to spread it out as what they consider.
We want people to look at us when they go look for Canal Zone history and not somebody with an agenda.
Well, and honestly, to Ricky's point, even when they're watching the show that's recorded, all your chats come up on there, right? And so a lot of times, a lot of the information that we certainly present a lot of information, when we do our research on certain topics, but a lot of the confirmation we get is from you guys and what you guys tell us happened that you guys your parents did or grandparents.
Well, the Canal Zone community will check everything we say. If we go up here saying BS, they would check us quick. They would correct us, especially Mr. Catanzaro and Mr. Grimacin and a whole bunch of you guys.
There's a lot of knowledge out there. There really is. And so even from those chats that people will gather information that keeps that Canal Zone story alive and helps.
And the truthful one. Which is very important for all of us, man.
Yeah, because Ricky's
mentioning that, but I see.
Well, but Ricky's becoming the Zonian story police. Let me tell you what, man, this guy's ready to tirar multa and everything.
I apologize to everybody that I've been mean to, man, but God darn it, I'm like that, man. I'm really protective. Sorry, guys. Sorry. Yeah, the boy older brother, Libra. It doesn't get worse.
He was like, yeah. So, but that it's all good. He was like, you know what? He was like some of these hot sauces like this one here. So let's pay some bills and talk hot sauce here.
Where can I find El Fulo?
He's out there catch waves. Hey, Fulo! Fulo! Oh yeah, I know food. I'm a Steel Chef winner. You know the food competition?
Really?
Yeah, look. Check out this video of my win on YouTube. The secret ingredient? Frozen shrimp. I'm gonna blow their minds. They're gonna be like, how did he do that?
Microwaved?
Trust me, dip it in the Howler Monkey Sauce Verde, you'll be blown away.
I love the balance of the garlic with the tang of the vinegar. I mean, it's classic. That's why it works so well with seafood.
Yeah. This combination of green habaneros and green bell peppers, it transforms the shrimp. Wow.
You were right. Dipping it in the Verde Howler Monkey Sauce, the combination of cilantro and sweet onions, man, that made a zero a hero.
Do you know a Howler monkey who can describe the sweet heat of our original with authentic ají chombo peppers? Or the fresh punch of Verde, where habanero warmth meets crisp bell pepper? How about the bold tang of Amarillo, yellow Scotch bonnets blended with mustard seeds? And of course, our hot. The same great flavor as original, fired up with red habaneros for that fire. Our sauces are all natural, no preservatives, gluten-free, pure flavor and pure fire. Are you the next Howler Monkey spokesperson?
Go. We got one more coming up that's going to see if they're going to be the next Howler Monkey spokesperson. So we've had Balboa, right, with the Amarillo. We've had Mac, right, and he was with the original. And now, of course, we've had your boy here,
Fulo.
That's right, Fulo El Gringo with his Verde. Right, and so my favorite is the Amarillo as far as the sauces go, and they really are, like I said, they're very flavorful. They're very purposeful in the flavor profiles they have, and certain ones fit certain meals really, really well. Like that green one, the Verde, really is good for on seafood, right? Because it doesn't overpower. Seafood has a unique flavor to it, but it's they're really good, man. I highly recommend it. Amazon.com, of course. If in Florida, you can go to Publix, you can go to
Winn-Dixie.
Winn-Dixie and a couple other places, but you can definitely get them on Amazon.com. And I think, where is it? In Magoo's in Panama, isn't it? I heard that they...
Panama, and as
know?
well as Austin Mamas.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's right. Austin Mamas as well. So, but anyway,
I think those are kind of close to each other, those two restaurants, Zonian restaurants.
Probably.
And there's also Balboa Bakery. I love to promote them. I love bakeries. I think when I retire, I'm going to own a bakery.
Yeah, you've talked about that before.
I love bakeries. I don't know what it is with bakeries. I'm stuck with bakeries. But for now, we're going to move into Clubhouse.
Yeah, they had a bakery there in the Clubhouse, didn't they?
They sure did have a good bakery. I mean, and I recall. I think we're going to show you some pictures of that.
Yeah,
so our format tonight, guys, on the architectural segment, like always, it's going to be a history of a building through an architect's eye. So we're going to be describing the building as an architect. Now, we're going to have pictures just flowing through, so we really don't have like a scheduled picture with a story. So we're just going to talk story, and then when the picture pops up, I'll talk about the pictures as well. Michelle Streeter, hello. Yes,
there you go.
She loves to
consult.
bake.
Right on.
I'm loving it too. You know what? Sourdough bread, it doesn't get you fat, by the way. So if you guys like bread, eat sourdough bread. You won't get fat.
Dude, we just got a brand new Emerald oven that's amazing, man. This thing's got doors. It opens up. It does everything. And one of the recipes was a sourdough French toast.
Like, man, very healthy, very healthy. I eat a lot. I eat half a loaf a week. I always get half a loaf at my favorite bakery. Well, guys, the Clubhouse. First of all, what was the Clubhouse? Very important to understand why the Clubhouse was so important. Because we had them, Willie, in all our early construction day towns, as well as after the construction, we had them in a bunch of 6, 7, 8, 9 towns. Well, listen. We mentioned in last month when we were talking about Stevens and how he organized the Canal Zone to kind of protect the workforce from being out and about, because the French kind of failed because they didn't really have control of their workforce, and it was kind of a lazy workforce. Well, the American version of it was no, they didn't want to deal with that. So one of the things that part of their planning was to control the labor force. So one of the things Stevens put a lot of emphasis on this, Willie, and he hired a guy by the name of Jackson Smith to run all the labor and housing allocation. Because remember, this is when a lot of people are starting to come in to do the work, mostly bachelors at first and then families. So one of the things that Stevens, like I mentioned a trillion times, of controlling was of controlling their labor force, especially their bachelor men, which in many cases were the engineers, the locomotive guys, the excavation guys, was that, Panama offered, a lot of saloons and gaming halls, and like they put on one story I read, naughty nocturnal activity, aka the Ancon Inn, or for my age group, the Blue Goose. So to combat that, so they didn't lose their guys and then up all night and then get to work, they invested a lot of funds into clubhouses, which were run by the YMCA. So these clubhouses, again, started in the construction towns. The one clubhouse that we're all familiar with, the Balboa one, like again, Diablo had one, Margarita, Pedro Miguel, Gamboa, La Boca.
So what you're saying is that these were then a way to control the leisure and not let it get out of hand.
Correct, because don't let it get out of hand.
Well, it's interesting because in 1908, for a Labor Day parade, they were going to have an Empire. Colonel Goethals put out that there was going to be no selling of liquor starting on Saturday all the way through Sunday and Monday, because they didn't want people on Tuesday to come in hungover or not come into work. That was, I mean, think about it. You're digging in the canal and you like to party, man, when it's done. It's kind of like the old West. And so, they really control that stuff. So this makes sense that they have this effort like this.
Well, that control also went into their architecture.
Sure.
But the architecture wasn't really only control. It also had to do with the weather and the diseases, etc. Right. So in 1905, they built the first clubhouse in Empire. This is the one we're going to talk about. There were other clubhouses, but the one in Empire is the one they preserved. This is the one where, you know, all the engineers that built the canal, all the, you know, the labor that built the canal did all their partying, all their meetings, all their lunches, etc. in this clubhouse. So they also decided to use this clubhouse because of the architecture that was forming, which we mentioned last month, which today is known as early 20th century American tropical architecture. But when it first started as a Canal Zone style architecture, we can really see it in this picture there, which is the screened in verandas to keep the mosquitoes out and all that stuff. And that screen was actually made out of copper to make sure no mosquito ate through it.
Wow.
As well as the roof. A lot of the roofs in the early Canal Zone construction was made out of copper. And if you can see there, they also have big overhangs, roof overhangs, and that's obviously to keep the you know, the water away from the building, and as well as shade. But some of those overhangs, today's overhang, guys, are like 36 inches, 3 feet. That's very standard. These were 8 feet overhang. You know,
wow,
just way out there to keep water away. So they tore this down in Empire and moved it over in 1914 to Balboa. Now some of the architectural features before I move on, right? The tropical pavilion, which is what those verandas you're seeing there, right? Open rooms with tall ceilings, just like the Tivoli. So the Tivoli actually got its architecture from this construction architecture. You know, ventilation, sunscreen, like I said, copper roofs, copper netting, you know, and also this particular building was the elite building of Empire. Empire was like the Balboa of the construction days, you know, and it was closer. I actually don't know where Empire is, but it was closer to Culebra than it was to the Pacific.
Yes, correct. Absolutely.
So from Empire in from 1905 to like 1913, because I figured they needed about a year to tear it down and bring it over and rebuild it, so they reopened in Balboa in 1914. Same building, by the way, you know, with very little modification. Basically, the same exact building was relocated and reconstructed right there in Balboa. Now, why did they choose Balboa to put this in 1914? First, Willie, it was inaugurated on Christmas of 1914.
Wow.
So that's 12 weeks after the opening of the Panama Canal.
Yeah, right.
So can you imagine the type of celebrations they had at this place?
Sure.
From changing the world, right? From this project all these guys did, and the opening. Can you imagine the amount of celebration that went on there? I mean, the only thing that I can think of equivalent to that was the opening of the Tivoli 7 years earlier. So here we are, 1914. Balboa's brand new administration building just opened. Everything is just now starting to run.
Well, and you know what, Ricky, you talk about the Tivoli and how the importance of that one, but if you think about where this one is located and where it remained to this day located, it's on the other end of the admin, right? And there's a significance there. It's not just randomly thrown around somewhere. It is specifically laid out as part of what I consider, Park Avenue boardwalk on the monopoly of the Canal Zone would be that El Prado admin
yes, the
building
two
section.
places of honor would be the admin building on one end and then the clubhouse on the other end.
Well, and even El Prado, because think about the design of El Prado itself. The width of it is to the equivalent of the locks and the length and all that, right? So
we're going to talk about that in a second, Willie.
Yeah.
Now, why did they choose that? Okay, when all the other buildings were designed and built in the Balboa area, in the El Prado area, they were all concrete, masonry, strong Italian Renaissance, Spanish colonial, strong architectural features. But they decided to leave the clubhouse wood to commemorate the design and construction of the early construction days.
How about that?
So as a respect to that, 'cause that's the
Give it tribute.
initial architecture, as known as Canal Zone architecture. Well, actually, that one came together based on all the other homes and all the other experiments they did with housing, you know, and how to get it elevated,
developed in the
what
Canal Zone.
worked, and this is so they honor that. So, one of the things that's very important to understand about Balboa, guys, was designed as a carefully orchestrated town where architecture reinforced community order and the American identity in the tropics.
Right.
That's how Balboa was designed. Now, Balboa was designed by one of the top architects of the time, Austin Lord, who did a lot of work on in the Canal Zone. And my good friend John Cantzero did a lot of research on him and forwarded me a lot of information. And yes, John, he is the numero uno architect of the Canal Zone, but from New York. But still, he did most of the grand projects. Him and another grand architect, landscape architect, Frederick Law Olmsted. These are huge names in the architectural world. Those two guys together designed Balboa. And then you can see in the original plan right there. As you can see the admin building on the top, and then Stevens Circle, and then you can see El Prado, which is El Prado is a mall, and then at the very end you will see where the clubhouse is. Now, this type of town planning came from the Chicago World Fair of 1893, right? When you had back then, when they had world fairs like they did in San Francisco to commemorate the Panama Canal, they always try to show off all the latest technology and the latest of everything. But in this case, they had the latest city planning. And the pavilion was called Court of Honor. Okay, it's a new type of city planning called City Beautiful Movement. Okay, Willie. So this is what they built the Washington Mall in D.C.
Oh, look at that.
The National Mall in D.C.
Yeah,
it's the same thing as Balboa. Same designers, same landscape architect. You know, the two guys I just mentioned, same guys that designed the National Mall. Okay, so that's how they designed Balboa, you know, where architecture reinforces community order, okay, and American identity, of course. All right, so from 1914 to 1920, it pretty much ran the way it came from Empire, and then some of the things that were going on in these at the Balboa clubhouse, guys, where, you know, they had things like ballrooms there, right? Dining rooms and bars and reading rooms and libraries and car rooms. And one of the things they had was movies. They would show movies there. So people would come movies, and there was too many. They couldn't put them in, I guess, in the ballrooms where they had the movies first. Right. So the first major renovation, and some of the pictures when I get to it, I'll show you, was on the side. If you're facing the clubhouse on the right side, they had an outdoor screen with some seating out there, and that was like an expansion they did in 1920. Right, and then that went on for about 29 years that people would go to the movies there. I guess if it rained, they would come inside, but that was the first one. 1949, to be exact, is when they built Balboa Theater next door, because it just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and that's one of the reasons Balboa Theater is right next door to it.
So you got a question here for you. Ricky, wasn't the later concrete architecture known as Spanish Renaissance?
And Italian Renaissance, yes. But the Spanish one has they gave him a different name. It'll come to me in a minute here. Like Spanish, it'll come to me in a minute. Like San Francisco Presidio, exactly like the San Francisco Presidio. So in 1949, they brought the theater in, and that was like the last remodel they did. See, right there, you can see the theater on the side there. You can see the big white screen, and then the chairs in front, and that's kind of where the theater is today. If you notice so
it was an outdoor theater.
It was like an outdoor theater, right? So that was the first expansion of that. Yeah, and then obviously we know that's where they put the new one in 1949. Now, some of the things that happened, like during World War II, Willie, that the clubhouse was used by the Army and the Navy for civil defense. So it was like the headquarters for civil defense.
Right on.
Yeah. And like I said, 1920 they made that larger for the Balboa, for the theater, which later became
Right.
Balboa Theater. And
Sure.
also, Willie, to go to the clubhouse back then, you had to pay a membership to get in, $10 a year.
Oh, hence the name Clubhouse.
Yeah, so
Go
and
to the
that's the
club.
reason why they actually changed the name in the 50s because of that elite clubhouse, But it never stuck. The Zonians would never use the new name. It's like civilian use building, so the Zonians just kept calling it clubhouse.
Yes, they did. We had that. It was on a trivia that we had that. I remember that the other day.
Yeah, but they
It
just
was
wouldn't,
something-
so they just kept
And
it.
I mean, it was such a bureaucratic government name. It was almost like something you'd find out of North Korea or China, building number 12D, and it was just absurd.
It was.
Nobody bought into it at all. Not at all.
Willie, for 60 years, from 1914 all the way to 1973, that wooden building right there was the center of the Canal Zone. All the high school kids would study there. It had a bakery inside. It had
and you notice Sosa Hill there has a proper look to it.
Yeah, the way we're used to it. It had a soda fountain where people would go get their butter brickle and
right.
and their Coca-Cola.
Well, I mean, think about it. This was they tried again to make it as American as possible, right?
Correct.
And in the 50s and 60s,
Well, Balboa.
especially in the 50s, it was the whole kind of like Happy Days, right? The show, I mean, but all that stuff was emulating real America at that time. Right, and that hangout place was the clubhouse. Was probably a place where you probably had some teens, chilling back there.
It's funny too. About the Canal Zone police were very extremely strict. We all know that, right? But for some reason, there was a policy that allowed kids to be kids at the clubhouse. They would just tell you, hey, don't do that, and that's it. They wouldn't arrest you. They wouldn't fine you or ticket you or anything. There was like this secret code that the kids at the clubhouse get a mulligan. And they can pretty much. So that's why we all hung out there, because we had our freedom was there, and it was by design. Unbelievable. That's why I love doing this research, guys, because all this stuff is on our research.
What Tanya's saying here, Sister Dawn, we're just talking about the house that we grew up in El Prado and how the doors of the bedrooms had the old. They did. Remember, they had the skeleton key, right?
That's right. The law was you had to stick all the way in there. Yes.
Yeah, it's so funny. That's great. Great stuff. This is what I love
guys,
about
the building made it to let's keep going through the pictures till 1973 when they decided to demo it, and from there
you go,
they
Ricky.
built.
Somebody loved the butter brickle.
Yeah. Okay, good. There was a few of us that liked it.
All right, let's see here. Yeah,
let's see. There you go. So 1973, they demoed that building, Willie, and they came up with a new design, and the only reason why is because the other ones didn't have air conditioning. And so this new building was for to bring air conditioning, and they also eliminated the top floor because a lot of other stuff moved over to different locations.
And now
like
you built everything around it, right? When they first built that one back in 1904, you didn't have the theater there, you didn't have the commissary. Well, you
had the commissary, but
you still had an open area where you
had an open area. You didn't have Stevens Circle,
Right,
but the commissary and the post office.
Those big trees that ended up growing there and stuff. So it probably made sense at that point.
So my age group, this is the one we grew up with. Even though I do remember the older one, because it did, I was, when we were like lightweights, I think we went there a few times. I do remember crossing over from the clubhouse to the theater on that hallway. I do remember doing that as a kid.
Wow. Okay, so you didn't have to go outside.
A hallway. Yeah, it had a hallway that connected those.
Before
This building,
not connected then.
No, we're going to get to it. I'm going to show you where it's all connected. So this is the one that lasted from 1973 until I don't really know when they added the second. The Panamanians took it over and they added the second floor. But the Canal Zone government was a little upset because they spent almost 1.3 million building that thing by a company called Building Construction. Got the contract to knock down the old one and put this one up, because then the treaties came in. And so, they had to give this up immediately afterwards. So it was a big expense that they ended up giving back a few years later. But my age group got to enjoy it. I do recall how beautiful it was. And,
I do remember that one.
And the French fries with gravy. That's from the old one. Yeah, that's from the old one. Yeah. So that's a great picture. That's the only picture, Willie, in all the research, AI, notebook,
amazing?
everybody checked. And that is
such
the
a
only
common place,
picture.
and yet it was just ignored by everybody as far as the photographs go.
I am
And the
so
other
glad.
interesting thing about this picture here is you notice that Corvette there. He looks like he can go ahead and still make a right there into the post office.
Right. No,
where-
back then, hey, listen, right at that same spot, I got hit by a car. But it was my fault. It was my fault. I didn't get hit very hard, you know. My dad was like, Dad, give me some money. I'm going to go to the movies right over there. You see the theater. So he goes, he gives you the money. So I grabbed it. I turned around and ran across the street without looking. And this Volkswagen guy, obviously, he saw me and he braked. Boom, hit me. So instead of my dad going to me, oh my God, my son. No, he goes up, peek, pack, what's wrong with you? You gotta look both ways.
The lash from your dad was worse.
Give me
than
back my money. Go home. You know. But yeah, then they ended up putting, as you know, a concrete curb there, and they made it really nice.
Yeah,
you couldn't make that right anymore.
No.
You had to go all the way down
It
by
truly
the.
became Stevens Circle again.
Yeah, it
even
became a
cars would go
circle.
around it,
Correct.
right?
Correct.
Yeah.
All right, so let's see what else we got picture wise. Oh, there's from the interiors. There you go. There's the bakery. Yes.
This is part of that CZ Images, guys. And again, if you want to see some great nostalgia, you want to go back and just binge watch Canal Zone images, go to CZ Images on the website, man. Bill McLaughlin's done a great job of putting some amazing pictures up, man.
Oh yeah, I spent a lot of time on that.
Yeah, it's a great place to go, and I mean, you talk about reminiscing, man. It's a great place to do it. But yeah, look at all those goodies there, man. Oof.
Yeah, the original design, Stevens Circle wasn't there yet. So there was a lot of landscaping in front, and we'll see on some of the pictures. And then later, Stevens Circle was built. There's the soda fountain. There's your butter brickle.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, it was really Americana, very, very much so. That almost looks like a diner.
And look at the different flavors they have up on the wall there. They have Barber Pole, Buster Brown, chocolate nut, New York Sundae, Napolitano, black and white. Oh, so different. Okay, that's cool, man. That's cool. Good old America.
Now that's the view from the near one.
Mm-hmm.
When all that glass. Again, that's the only interior I found of the near one where you can see the.
Yeah, and you can see the railing and the concrete across the street. They closed off Stevens Circle.
Saved a lot of young kids from getting run over.
And a lot of us don't know this or don't, because we never saw it this way, but in the distance there you can see Balboa Stadium, and that area there back in the day was actually bleachers up there above where the locker rooms and stuff were.
Yeah, that was the original backstop. That was the backstop.
Right, but it had bleachers going up that, so you wouldn't be able, that hill that you see behind Balboa Stadium there, you wouldn't be able to see it back in the day from this angle, because that was where the main bleachers were in that stadium when it was originally built, because it was a baseball stadium more than anything, And it's changed a
Yankees
lot.
Actually played in that baseball.
Yeah, they
stadium
sure
back in the
did.
day.
They sure did. They sure did.
All right,
Okay,
well,
they say, do you
we get
remember?
that.
The place on the way to the beach? They had the meat bread on the oven.
Would that be Quesocella?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking it is. Yeah, I believe
Wait,
that's
eventually
what
we'll do something on Quesocella.
Yeah, we
that
do.
true was a Zonian.
That was a stop, a mandatory stop on the beach trips. Was Quesocella.
All right, see, this is probably the best shot of all of them because we can see everything here. This is probably in the 40s. Oh, no, 50s because Balboa's Theater's already up and it went up in 49.
Correct.
So this is about the time my dad and your dad, no, your dad wasn't there, but my dad and was hanging around there. That's what they looked at. So 2 stories, they started adding more. What this renovation was is the roof. They put in a bigger roof, better roof.
Yeah.
And they added. So what you're seeing there was the front lower building was called a social parlor because that's where they had the bars and all the fun stuff like that, the reading the bars were upstairs. The social parlor was like the reading room, the cafeteria, that kind of stuff, a library. They had a library there, and that was 133 linear feet in the front, 45 feet deep.
More family oriented.
Yeah, it's only like a 6,000 square foot building, even though it looks ginormous, doesn't it?
Right.
But 6,000 square feet. To us, it looked really, really big. And then what you're seeing on the top floor, which is a little bit smaller, and the reason why was they didn't want a bunch of columns all over the place. Why? Because that's where the dance hall was. So up there, you can imagine when all those Zonians were dancing, that floor, I bet, was going dum, dum, dum. Yeah. So it was a big dance hall up there, and they had those kind of activities on the top. And that was 27 feet deep, which is basically the size of a house, by 67 long. Now, one of the things they kept on this one was on the bottom, you'll see these columns. That's from the original. But the one you see on top, what you see on top, that's the original, from the original design.
Oh, okay. And then the bottom front section is the add-on.
Kind of the add-on with the roof.
Interesting.
All right. And then the round end and the round end there. Then on the back, there was a smaller building, like 100 feet wide by 28 feet deep. And Willie, what that was, that's how they connected to the pool. That's where the bowling alley was. There was two lanes. Okay. There was two lanes back there. There was a small gym back there and locker rooms, showers. And that's where you would connect to the pool.
Okay.
Back in the day. You can see it back there. You can see the one-story building on the back.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Little bowling alley. And then later they took that out and the bowling alley went to where it went, where we grew up.
Right.
And that's kind of why in 73 they tore it down because there was just too much space.
So real quick, someone's Johnny TC6TZ. Thank you for joining and chiming in. Is this strictly about the Canal Zone? About 95% Canal Zone. It's we both grew up in the Canal Zone. Most of the folks on here, a lot of them actually we know. But we just like to reminisce about growing up in the zone. So yes, it's a lot of history. We have somebody the first Friday of every month that goes over Canal Zone history sometimes go back to the days of the pirates and build our way up. We've got this architecture segment. We do some other stuff there, but it's just a fun way to reminisce and talk about the zone. We do throw some Panama in there, but we are working towards some other Panama coverage as well on a new streaming platform called Zonian TV that's getting ready to roll out. But yes, it is mostly Canal Zone stuff right now and about our lives and the lives of in some cases our parents and grandparents here in the Canal Zone. So thanks for chiming in though, man. Appreciate you.
Thanks for chiming in, Johnny. And we'll teach you all about the what it was living in the Canal Zone coming up. Different from the construction days all the way till today. So, guys, the clubhouse, again, very important building to the Canal Zone community. Oh, here's a great picture of Franklin Roosevelt in front of our clubhouse there.
So let me ask you something. On this picture here, Ricky, well, you'll probably know, so I'll throw it out there for these guys. So behind FDR's waving to the crowd there. He's sitting in the back left seat, or the right seat, I mean. And behind him, you see a lamppost or whatever. What street is that? That you see behind that there, as you can see,
those lampposts were there when we were growing up.
Yeah, man. Listen, those were the get home signals, right?
That was 6 o'clock when those came out. 6 o'clock, sharp.
That light, yeah, because down there it pretty much was consistent. The sunset and sunrise, it didn't vary a lot. Being that close to the equator, it kind of stood the same, but. Yeah, do you guys know where that was? That road there behind that lamppost. You guys, Leaf, you should know. Those are some of your stomping grounds there. Tanya, you should know that too. That road there.
That road going up there.
Mm-hmm. So if you think about it, throw it in the chat. Then we'll try and we'll go back to it.
I know what it is.
That's FDR, man, and that was not obviously the first president to go to the Canal Zone either,
or the first Roosevelt.
That's true for that matter. That's very true. Very true.
But he's looking quite smooth there with his white and his Panama hat.
Looking very dapper.
Yeah, and you got the security guy there in the front.
Okay,
nice
so
car.
Lori's thinking the street to St. Mary's. Well, that's the street that he's on. Yes, but if you were going in the other direction, like where those kids are in the street about to be hit, another car, you made a right at that lamppost there. There's a road there that you made a right at the end of the clubhouse there. And that's what we know it is. I was curious to see if you guys can envision what road that is.
Yeah, that would be the old clubhouse you're looking at there. The old one from.
There's that lamppost there. Different.
That's kind of the second clubhouse what you're looking at there. There's been 4 clubhouses altogether.
Yeah,
the third one, the modern one, and the fourth one, what it is today. And that's Zonians getting on the Chiva bus right there in front of the Balboa clubhouse, as you guys remember, our famous Chivas.
Callejota, Riabajo, Balboa.
Yeah, that was.
You can see the marquee
Grand Morrison and Napolis.
Yeah, right. That's it.
Everybody there is either going to Grand Morrison or Napolis.
That's it.
Well, look at the driver. Typical Beautiful. I love that picture.
What year did a roller? That's an interesting question, Don. We're trying to figure that out. I've been racking my brain doing some research on that, and I the only way I think we can find out is through social media. Maybe Canal's on documentary can put that out there.
My age group would have been about 75, 74 that played there, and
yeah, I mean, I remember going there as a kid, and I was probably 9, 10 years old, right? And on Friday nights we'd go there, to the. It was before you were old enough to know that there was football going on Friday nights, and even you were still, maybe not even old enough to play Rams yet, and so therefore as a kid you went to the roller rink or skating rink.
10 is big. Some kids went in at 9, but those were the big kids.
All right, Tabernilla, yes, that is right, absolutely, Tabernilla Street.
That's right.
If you got into
now Tabernilla, there was a that name is important somewhere else.
Yeah, that was a town.
That was it was one of the canal
along that whole Empire, Gorgona, Tabernilla. We're all in that region there. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. This is a cool podcast. I'm from San Diego. I started working on the tuna boats. I was 16 years of age and had a bunch of good times at the yacht club. Right on.
In mid-70s. That's by the time we weren't going to the yacht club yet, mid-70s. We're going to late 70s, but right on, yeah.
The thing about that place, Johnny, growing up in the Canal Zone, it was very much an American place, but there still was the Panama influence. And one of the places that the Panama influence was that you kind of didn't really enforce drinking ages much, although they did in the zone to a certain extent. But we would go to the yacht club, and I remember telling my wife this story. My wife's from the States here, and telling her that on Thursday nights as a senior, we would go to the yacht club, to the middle bar, and we would drink there. But, we had to leave at midnight because we had school the next day. And it was kind of a bizarre concept to think about that, a senior in high school is going to the bar and with our parents' blessing, just, be home by midnight because you got school tomorrow, and
then again, our beer was only 3.2%. So,
right. And not to mention you had a football game, at the beginning of the year if you were playing for, in high school.
We were drinking Sprite. Dale, go to.
But that was the yacht club, so I'm glad you experienced. That's really cool, man. I hope you tune in further and listen. You know what? We would love to get some stories of people that have experienced, the zone from a different, aspect, a different viewpoint, like you have there. So, yeah, right on, dude. Thank you, man. Appreciate you, man. Right on. Okay, skating also on Saturday, and they did skating also in at the Gap. Remember, the Gap?
Not the Gap at the skating rink.
No, but at the teen club they also did skating at the Gap.
Oh, okay.
They would do skating there as well. But yeah, we're trying to figure out, Don, when that actually closed. Because that was a fun place to go to, but everything that I've looked up, it says that it was, sometime after 77, the treaty, some of those port areas were immediately transferred to Panama, and so what they did with them, I remember they opened up that little clinic on that trailer. They had a little doctor clinic there, which is right next to the skating rink, I think, and I think the skating rink was closed by then, if I'm not mistaken. So I think we would have to find somebody that maybe ran, youth activities or whatever department that oversaw that, they might be able to say, hey, this actually closed on such, because there was obviously a day it closed, but I do want to find that out. So anyway, dale boy.
Go get them with the pictures, because architecture wise, listen, we're going to look at some of the other clubhouses. This is the one in Diablo, guys, that we remember. It was a Christmas toy fantasy land for all the Zonian kids.
Sure was.
All the new stuff was there, and boy, getting your parents to get you there.
That place has evolved a lot.
That one had a theater too on the right.
That's what I'm saying.
I remember going in there a few times growing up.
No,
and a great cafeteria.
After the zone, it evolved again. That became, that was one of the first commercial Panamanian places in the zone. It became the 24 hours, right? It became a store, a shopping store. But that was Panamanian.
You're right.
It was one of the very first Panamanian stores to be in the Canal Zone. And everything else was still, Canal Zone for the most part. So that's cool. And that's a good shot.
That's what it looks like today, guys. Yeah. On top is it used to be a Boston school, but now we got from Leaf that it is the prison.
Yes, I saw running it earlier. I saw that.
I mean, that looks kind of nice, better than what I thought it would look. I'm not too disappointed with that look. I do like the landscaping in front. That's really nice.
Yeah, he says here, okay, it's now the Prison Ministry of Panama. Okay, cool.
All right, cool.
All right, good to know. Yeah, and remember, guys, that's the one thing that we figured out that once everything transitioned over, Panama as a country, what they wanted, the government, what they were looking for was the ports and the canal and the locks and stuff. That was what they got. They didn't care about the rest of the stuff, and there was no need for it. That infrastructure was there, put in just for people operating the canal, right? The whole canals on the Zonians that either work directly on it or the supporting services, the teachers, the police, the doctors, the food places, everything else. But
No,
it was
They tried first, Willie, to make it to what it was before, a clubhouse, but there just wasn't any interest.
Yeah, no, I'm just talking
anymore.
about the zone in general. That they started selling property off and then using it for other things. That suddenly Panama realized, hey, we got some government buildings we can throw in here, and we kind of have final say because we're the government, and this is all handed to us. It wasn't handed to a private enterprise in Panama when the treaty was signed, if you think about it. So the government kind of had first dibs on whatever they wanted to use and repurpose in a lot of these cases. So it does make sense. But anyhow, oh, look at that. There you go. That doesn't look like that entrance at all.
I know.
Wow.
Oh well.
But you can see the walkway that used to go to the pool there on the right.
Yeah, it's still there. That came with the modern design,
Sure.
the last design, which I liked it. I liked that hallway. It was really cool that we go.
Yeah, it was. It was a great shortcut. I'm thinking you're going next month. That's cool. Oh, good for you, man. Take some pictures. Give us a tour. Give us a walking tour. Heck yeah.
Video shot. The next picture.
Okay.
Oh, that's that's about like 76, 77 around there.
Yeah, definitely.
Or late 70s.
No, maybe
on a
not
rainy
quite
day.
late 70s because there were in bell bottoms there, so that's not.
Well,
late
you can
70s.
see the Bronco. I see the Bronco there.
Yeah, that's true. That's looking at the post office, another iconic building. Yeah, that'll be cool, Tanya. Get some cool shots there and give us a little, the before and after. We've got the before covered. You'll give us the after now. All right, and then we saw that one earlier here, and then this is that.
Well, yeah, you can see the little bit of the clubhouse there on the left.
Yeah,
that's the old clubhouse.
And this
obviously that was in the 50s. Yes.
So, what is your biggest memory, guys, of the Balboa Theater? Because I have two in particular that stick out for me. One of them is kind of silly, but it just for whatever reason I remember it. And then, of course, the other one was the sheer terror of Jaws. Watching that there, and I stayed away from the beach for the longest time. If it wasn't Amador Beach with a fence with a net, I wasn't going in the water. That's for sure.
My age group, we had a thing called the Owl Show, when they normally would do like scary movies, Dracula, and that kind of stuff.
Right. Yeah, and that was like for the older teens to hang out. It's kind of their time. And again, you think about it, it makes sense. You throw something like that out, you're not out running the streets. Right, and so again, the zone keeping them providing something,
and the baby room. You know what? I was just thinking about that, Tanya. If you look at the theaters, the one on the left with that one little window, that was the baby room.
Yes. Yeah, look at the cry room for the baby. That's right, the baby room. That's right. I remember that.
The makeout room. A lot of people were out there making out.
Yeah, you see people going there. Right? It's not a place to make babies. It's a place where you take babies. My first R-rated movie, A Star Is Born. Okay, look at that. Right on. Do you remember those movies, Benji with the dog? Mm-hmm. When that first came out, that was like a super popular. I remember they had to put the ropes out, and do like the Disney lines going back.
Yeah,
and
that
forth
and the bug. What was that? What was that guy?
Herbie.
Herbie. Those were also big because they filmed one of them in the Canal Zone.
They did. That's right. They sure did. I remember how huge it was compared to other. Yeah, it was. It was gigantic. That was a big theater. It was. I mean, when we had our graduations there, a couple, I know we did for.
Yeah, we're gonna be talking about that next week, guys. By the way, that's what kind of why we're doing a couple of little theater work here. But next week with our David Dahlstrom, we're gonna be doing a lot of on the.
Remember July?
2 weeks. 2 weeks.
One.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Topo Gigio. Yes, Topo Gigio was huge.
La Camita. I'll tell you, that one always ended. But yes, no, in 2 weeks, Dave Dahlstrom, his history is going to be on the Balboa Theater. And what was the other one? He mentioned two things.
The commissary?
No, it was something else. But anyway, but yeah, so that should be
He
a lot
normally
of fun.
chimes in. He'll let us know.
Yeah,
He always
and
chimes
Balboa Theater was because that is a and it's gone through its iterations as well. And then that one has some, which I'm sure he'll come across those some really cool pictures of it, especially when they're building it. They did capture some good photographs of it, and
Yeah, we might have one. I don't know if you got to upload it or not, but we might have one here that I got from.
Let's see, Bounty and Bailey Circus came in the '60s. The Beatles movies showed up there a lot of times. Okay, right on. Especially it was R-rated. We used to sneak in the cooler in the back door. Yeah, remember that was the thing. Sometimes you'd open that side door and try and let people in. Good old Balboa.
My age group did that for sure, man. Everybody would pitch in there, or 5, 15 cents, whatever you had in your pocket. One guy would pay.
Yeah.
The rest of us will go on the back, front.
That's
and on the back side of the building, on the front side of the stage, we would sneak in there. But those ushers were also very good at catching us.
Yeah, of course they knew. Come on, man. They were doing it themselves a couple years before. Before they became ushers.
Right, they knew exactly.
You know?
Yes, that
That's
was
the
something
thing about the zone, especially anybody that lived there in that 60s, 70s, 80s era. You know, the people that were ahead of you had already done the things that we were doing. We were, doing all these Zonian things. Remember we had Al Sprague on, and he in the 50s is doing these things. He's riding down that hill on a bicycle in the 50s, doing all that kind of crazy stuff. So, these ushers and stuff, you might have looked at them as ushers, but they were Zonians like you and I, man, and they knew that gig. Half the time they just didn't care, man. They're just, I'm not going to mess with these people, leave them alone. Because they've done that themselves a few times. But there you go. This is a really cool picture, too. And where is this one at, Ricky?
Well, that is our clubhouse, but look at the time. It's, I think, the 20s or 30s.
Okay.
And Stevens Circle is still just a landscaped area. They still hadn't done it. But look at the cars, beautiful cars.
Well, and you know what? You think about it, the way this guy's parked is probably because that was the traffic was in the opposite direction.
The opposite direction, yep.
Yeah, that's right. Look at that.
So as you can see that column in the center there, they preserved that all the way through.
Yeah.
Because that's the one that obviously that came for. Oh no, in the 20s they did to change it. Well, no, look
right,
at the
but that's
roof.
still found because that's part of the second floor.
That's
remember they kept
so that's the original one that you're looking at right there.
One again. Where is it? You see that second floor there?
Yeah.
That's that piece right here that we're looking at now.
See how it's a little different? Yeah.
Yeah.
See how the front comes out now and it's
Yep.
covered? That was the first in the what year was that? 1920, I think.
Yeah, certainly.
The first remodel. There's the original. That's the one that came over from Empire. You can see Tabernia there on the left.
Ah, that's a great shot of Tabernia, man.
Yeah. So that's the original. Look at the cars. That tells you right there the year.
Yeah, no kidding.
Unless it's on the picture, but I think we cropped it, unfortunately. But yeah, that's the original there.
Yeah, that's a great shot, though. It really does give perspective to that whole Tabernia area and how it grew up. And look at this area. This is a street where people are walking, and versus, and you
It looks
can't
like
see
those
here,
cars
but
came out of the year before or something, or not.
right, and you can't see it on because the screen it was wider there. It doesn't do it justice here, but there are people that are walking on the streets there. You can see them going up Tabernia. They're walking on those streets because it was a different time, a different era.
Cars
But
were
it was still
brand
the
new,
same
and everybody
Canal
had cars.
Same place we walked in road and all that. It's just a much different place, man. And there's another angle of that.
Look at the
so that would
original.
be standing in the post office right
The
now.
post office area, right?
Yeah. Look at that.
So
That's
she was
cool.
brought over in 1914. Wow. Big party there.
What a great.
God, that upper floor must have been just.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. That was really interesting. The clubhouse really was. It was a place. What was the iconic food from the clubhouse, which a lot of people carried over into Corundu Junior High?
I would say French fries with gravy.
Yep, 100%.
In my opinion, yeah,
100%. That's exactly it, man. And
their empanadas, their empanadas were second to none. And that's actually in one of Mark Cicero's songs.
Yeah, and it's on this one. It shows it from the clubhouse empanadas. Yep.
Yeah, those were renowned, man.
Very
With
true.
that Maggie ketchup, come on, get out of here.
Yeah. The Maggie ketchup, it really does give it a different flavor.
It has
The
like
Maggie
a sweeter taste.
ketchup. It really is. That's one of those.
And it doesn't feel like it came out of a factory. It actually
It's not as acidic
tastes-
either.
Yeah, it tastes.
It's got a flavor. It's got a Panama flavor, man.
Yeah, like the original sriracha or whatever
Yes.
you say that. The original.
Sriracha.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's it really is. It's a definitely a a different flavor. But I do that Maggie ketchup's a great flavor, man. You know, and certainly if you wanted to eat some good cuisine, that was the one place where you could get American and Panamanian cuisine all the time was the Clubhouse. You know, they always and they listen. You got
like
a
Hofbrau. It was like a Hofbrau. You
Right?
can get all that hearty food there. You know,
Yeah,
turkey
you
with
ate well
gravy.
there. Yeah, you sure
Yeah.
did. You sure did. And that was a big deal during like Thanksgiving and stuff. You know, is
And it was subsidized. It was
Yes.
subsidized maybe through all the way through, but the food was so cheap because it was subsidized by the U.S. government. I mean, by the Canal's own government.
okay. What is the small church between the clubhouse and the Tabernia Street? Small church.
Right next to it was the bank. Right behind it was the house. I
Oh,
don't
okay.
remember the
Okay, so
church.
hold on. Yeah, let me go back to that screen here real quick because it is. There it is.
Ketchup Monarch. I don't remember Monarch.
Okay, so you look there on the left. Is that the one that we're talking about there? And
I
hey,
can
Bill,
see
how are
it
you?
there. Good
Yeah,
eye.
yeah.
Wow, Bill. I would say the original St. Mary's. No, just kidding. Only because St. Mary's Church was up the street, but that
Yeah,
would be
it was.
my guess as a.
Yeah, although
critical thinker.
you know it could be because
Hey,
there's
by the
still
way,
building up
Mister
there.
Everybody, this young man here, William McLaughlin, he has the most amazing collection of the Canal Zone history.
It's easy images.
Where I spent a lot of time, and thank you. A lot of these pictures come from your site. Thank
Yeah.
you so much. You and Edith have done a tremendous job for anybody that wants to study history or research history, Canal Zone history.
Yeah,
Truly
Bill
a blessing to
McLaughlin-
have you, Bill. And,
Yeah,
and
he-
cheers, everybody, from the Canal Zone to Bill,
Salute,
brother.
indeed. Yeah, Bill's
Salute,
the
man.
official historian for the Pan Canal Society, and him and I are talking about doing a CZ Images show because that would be a lot
would
of
be
fun. I mean, I'm
unbelievable.
not kidding you guys. When you have time to kill and you really want to go into the Canal Zone all the way from 1903 till present day,
Yeah. Okay,
Get
I'm
on
going to give you
CZ
guys a
Images,
tip.
man.
I'm going to give you a tip because I do this research all the time. And it's easy to get a headache because there's so much to look at. You have to have like, okay, I'm going to look all for Balboa Pool. And then you go and you search all the Balboa Pool
Yeah.
stuff. Okay, now I'm going to do a search for, whatever it is. Otherwise, you're going to be everywhere all the time. And it's so much beauty that, it's just unbelievable. But if you focus on a certain thing you want to look at, and then he has them very well labeled,
yeah,
and it'll be a lot. That's my tip on how to truly enjoy that site.
because it's very nostalgic. I mean,
Yeah.
it's and I mean, just about all the pictures there have really high resolution, so you really see some great.
And he references everything, so you can
Yeah,
click here to go to
man.
the article. So there's no fake news with the Canal Zone.
And I'm
That's why
sure
I keep
most of
saying-
you guys have been on CZ Images. It's,
Yeah, a lot of
it
people
really
have.
is a
Yeah,
great
yeah.
site. But if
CZ
you
Image,
haven't,
Canal
man,
Zone
definitely-
Brats does a good job too. The police guy Robinson does a good job. There's a lot of people out there.
Yeah,
doing a very, very
HB2
good
has
job.
been doing a great job, and he's jumped in now, and he's kind of taking it over, and he's been great on it. He's really putting stuff up there and updating stuff there. He threw a great tribute for Tochterman, for Steve's father, and things like that. So it's really cool, man. There's some people that are doing some good things to keep this Canal Zone story going because it's really
Absolutely.
important.
And Mr. Bill's one of the top ones. So anybody have the answer for that church? I went with St. Mary's. Anybody else?
Yeah, what is the answer on that? Because that's an interesting one there. That's and it could be St. Mary's. I mean this is early construction era. The Canal Zone was being built right now. When you see
That right, you're looking at Thursday, early 20s, if not.
right?
When did
and
the
you
cars
see up
come
the
out?
hill there, the hill, the house at the top of the hill are still being built, as you can see. So maybe that
That one
church
didn't
hadn't
make
been
it.
built
Yeah,
yet.
that's where the shepherds live, and that one's cement now.
Yeah,
But I think
that
I
might be the
recall
frame.
there was like a park up there. You could see that concrete foundation of that. I remember that foundation.
Yeah, my thoughts of St. Mary's. I mean, it could be. It certainly could be.
All right. Anybody know? Let us know.
We're gonna have to find that out. That'll be
Be
one
a
of those that we might be able
true
to.
historian there.
No,
But good eye
we-
there, Mr. Bill.
Which actually, that's a great opportunity then to talk a little bit about what we're going to be doing next here moving forward. As we wrap up the show, Balboa Union Church. That's another good thought there, Coach. Balboa Union Church.
Yeah, it was also built with like 1914, way back then.
Yeah,
it was one of the first
certainly
ones.
That
yeah.
one was up there early because that it's.
Yeah, we're gonna do churches too with at one of our segments here.
I may have missed it, but I think the clubhouses were originally to feed the early workers. Yeah.
Feed them all, entertain them all, keep them all in the zone.
And
don't let them go
affordable.
to
That
all
was
those naughty entertainment places.
Ricky mentioned it earlier, that the prices were cheap. They were subsidized. It was done on purpose. You were getting stuff cheaper than you could in the States.
To
for
keep
those
you
same
there,
steaks.
make you go there. Yeah,
make you want to stay there. You take all the West Indians, the Caribbean, most of those, from Barbados and Jamaica, they're used to, a British fare. And so they imported a lot of food from England. That was what they preferred to eat. And so it made sense. It made it hard for you to want to leave. Right. And remember last week when we talked about on that excavation, we learned about the amount of money just in 1907 that was sent back to the States. Right, because you could
Everything was
afford
paid
to go
for.
out to eat and do it for cheap, and you still had plenty of money to send back home, and you lived a good life in the zone. These people, they worked hard, but they were taken care of when they weren't working. That's for sure.
By design,
yeah, by
through
design.
architecture.
Exactly. So that was good, Ricky. That was a great story of the clubhouse. And like you said, it was difficult to find pictures of it. Because it was one of those that we took for granted, like we did with a lot of things in the zone.
Well,
but
the
for some
newer
reason,
one,
that one
the
didn't
older
work.
one, you got pictures galore.
Correct.
I think 50% is all I took from what.
Well,
what
that's
I
that classic
needed.
zone. Everybody loves the classic Canal zone.
But the new one, man, nowhere to be found.
And what
Glad
Ricky
I
means, the
had
new
that
one is after the 70, the 70 reconstruction piece. That even in our time, the early 80s, when we were going there, Rams football. Right after the game on Saturday, sometimes we'd go and hang out there, and
or before it was known before finals, or midterms.
Yeah, yes,
packed
that's
with
right.
kids. Man, we're there.
And also, the last few days of school, your senior year, you were let out early, and everybody would head to the clubhouse and hang out there.
And it was a place to eat lunch. Everybody
Yeah.
went there for lunch. At least my age group, we all went there for lunch.
Sure, man. Clubhouse was definitely a true.
It was the
Zonian-
Tivoli of the everyday person. The Tivoli was more elite. You had to spend some money to go there. With Balboa Club, all the clubhouses, but we're talking about the Balboa.
And literally, you could stand at the top of the stairs at the admin, and if you could look around the Goethals Memorial, at the very end of that was the clubhouse. It was right there. It was lined up perfectly, put there. It wasn't by chance. It was exactly to be the other bookend of that entire area.
And to commemorate that beautiful Zonian developed style from the construction.
That's really cool. I didn't realize that they wanted to.
Which the Tivoli became that, and then they preserved
because that was
this.
created in the zone. That was part of what they figured out. This is the optimal
Right,
way
because they had
live
to
in the
protect
tropics.
the verandas to protect against the mosquitoes,
yes.
the big overhangs to protect from all that water. Raising them up so that you had air underneath, so the termites, and then having concrete pillars
Yes.
holding them up, so
Everything
the termites
about
wouldn't
it.
come up.
Even like you
Everything
said, the
about
8-foot
it.
roof versus a 2-foot, because that water. I mean, we know what that water's like.
The water was like, and then splashing close to your building.
Right.
So from that came an American style architecture, which we know as early 20th century American tropical architecture.
And Johnny, please
Panama
do,
Canal
man.
Zone.
Absolutely. And we're on Facebook. SCN Canal Zone is the Facebook page. Definitely join us there, and by all means, share your pictures there. And we'd love to have you on and talk about your adventures in Panama and at the Yacht Club. We'll have to go back to our classic Yacht Club background.
And in San Diego,
because then you'll recognize that.
They're familiar with Balboa. Balboa is also real big in the San Diego area.
Right. Oh, absolutely. That name is common in Southern California, especially. So good stuff. But so the last thing we're gonna do here, guys, I'll tease it briefly, and we're gonna try and do more of this. So keep throwing these questions out there.
I really like this. I'm glad we're doing this.
And hold on, Bill's throwing an answer here. Maybe the area behind the post office was originally the first post office, which was a very large building. Okay.
Yes, I've seen it. Yeah.
Interesting.
I've seen that on some of the pictures that
And that was another building that was really nice. I do remember that, you'd get yelled at by mom and dad if you were running there and it had been raining, because they had all those marble floors and stuff, and they were slick, man. And I know I've taken a fall once or twice there, probably racing.
You're cracking some teeth or breaking some head. Yeah. You're not going to come out of that fall without an injury.
The age that we went to the post office, we already knew the combination, so we went there with our parents, and we're racing to be the first one to get to the mailbox to open it, right? Because you're just the stupid kid, you want to do those.
And you know what? There was like a little side one too that was like for all the top executives of the Canal.
Right.
There was a main one, and then on the side there by where the Jordans lived.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you again. Yeah. Well, good morning to you, Akira. Yes. Enjoy your morning. Have a great Saturday there in Japan.
Thank you. Our brothers from Japan, man. I just love how we're just like this. Right
Yeah.
now, our
Lottery out
countries.
front. Remember that? Yes. And then if you wanted something cultural, you just walk across into the circle there, Stevens Circle, and you had, the Kunas selling their stuff there and everybody else. That's the one thing I do remember a lot.
You had it was truly the center. Everything was
a
the
fun
stadium, the
place.
bowling alley, the
And it was
toy
you
store.
part of that whole safety and security thing. Here I'm at the grocery store at the commissary with my mom, and I'm gonna go hang out outside and just. I remember walking along that wall because you can get up on the wall and walk along it. That and because remember it had all the seating areas on it.
Oh, the benches,
benches, yeah. And stuff like that where your parents like, yeah, okay, just go. They know that you're gonna hang out there, and when they get done,
You know what? None of us played in the grass. For some
No,
reason, we respected it. I don't recall there being "Don't play in the grass." I don't recall that. We
No,
just didn't
but
go
we
up
never
there.
played on it either. You're right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you know what? Even as kids, we knew how to respect. That has to do with our teachers.
Right on. Absolutely. But anyway, some of the other things, and Johnny, you'll appreciate this because this is a great way to understand a lot of things about the Canal Zone that maybe aren't, and I hate to use the word, they aren't worthy of bringing on the show, but they're just not something that would make an entire show segment, right? But they're interesting questions that people ask and ponder. And so what we're going to start doing is something called the Canal Zone mailbag, where people, because we get questions sent to us all the time, and a lot of times it's ideas and suggestions on something for the show. And while it is compelling and very interesting, it really wouldn't have, more than a few minutes of life before we, beat it to death. And so, we figured, hey, here's a great way to do that is let's answer these questions that people send in and see what's up. So this is kind of what we're doing here. And give me a thumbs up if you guys can hear me. I want to make sure that you guys can, in fact, hear me out there. Hopefully you can. But we did get one question here the other day, which is what kind of kicked this off for us. And Eric, who chimes in on the show all the time, and Eric, thank you again for the beers. But Eric asked me in a message the other day, he said, who can be buried at the Korzal Cemetery?
That's a good question.
It is because that cemetery has a lot of nostalgia to it. It has a lot of history. And again, guys, somebody, if you don't mind throwing in the chat, let me know if you can hear me, and if not, then maybe they can't hear me. Let me make sure that I'm in this layer as well.
I can hear you. I can hear you clear, but maybe that's just us. Yeah, loud and clear from Vern. Yeah, you're good. You're
Okay,
good.
cool. Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, so the Korzal Cemetery is a place that's nostalgic. There's a lot of people buried there from way back in time. And Ricky, correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't there a French section there where there was a lot of French grave sites?
I don't think there was a French section. I think the French had their own, but I could be wrong. One thing I do know is that belongs to the U.S. territory. That cemetery is U.S. territory.
Right on. So I did look into that, and there are some specifics on it regarding who can be buried there because it is considered. I guess it's treated almost the same as maybe a cemetery in Normandy, right, where it's not on actual U.S. soil, but somehow the U.S. plays a role in either the administration or access to it and who can be buried there.
Well, the cemetery at Korzal is U.S. territory. They have a U.S. flag. It's U.S. territory.
Ah, okay, that's interesting.
Part of the Canal treaties.
And Bill here, Americans living in the Canal area. Okay, interesting.
That the way it should be. Yes, that way all the Zonians can be buried there.
And it does, like I said, there's some of the grave sites that you go on there. They're from way back in the day, even from construction days and stuff. And so it really is. That's the one place. And if it continues this way, does preserve the history, because that's one place of it as and I don't even want to use the term morbid, but most people think you're weird if you walk around cemeteries a lot. But
no, a lot of Zonian kids would hang out there. That I knew a lot of them that hung out there. Not scared one bit.
That's a whole different thing there. But I'm just talking about.
But I would never go out there. No way, man. I'm a Tuli Vieja guy, man. I believe in that stuff.
Indeed, yes, indeed.
So I guess the answer is any American living in the Canal Zone, and hopefully that is the right answer.
Yeah, and I believe, let me look at something, because I did do a little bit of research on that here, and let me see what it said here, because I did have,
Chat GPT.
It was let me see here. So Eligibility highlights U.S. military veterans, active duty or honorably discharged personnel, Panama Canal workforce, civilians who constructed, operated, or secured the canal, qualifying dependents, immediate family of eligible U.S. citizens or veterans, allied forces and foreign personnel, foreign nationals serving with U.S. forces or canal operations. So it really does circulate around the canal, like Bill said on there, that you definitely have to have some kind of involvement or relationship to the Panama Canal itself. And that to me makes sense, because I think this one does have a special, significance to it. Let's see. Some French canal workers are buried at the Mount Hope. Yes, that's true. And I know there's a cemetery somewhere in the zone that has a very large amount. Unfortunately, the bulk of those that died building the Panama Canal were during the French construction, because
in Paraíso, right past Paraíso, you got the French cemetery.
I believe you're right.
The French actually spent a ton of money, of course, in Panama too. Right. With Meyer and those guys, spent a lot of money getting it back to looking very nice.
Recognize them, yeah, for sure. Because that was, remember one of the things that early on when the U.S. started doing this, Gorgas pushed since 1904, he was in there pushing, man, it's the mosquitoes. Where the French for the entire time they were here, that was never a thought process at all for them, and so unfortunately they were devastated. I mean, they had tremendous losses. The bulk of the losses came during the French, construction.
And the railroad too. The railroad was 22,000.
Yes, you're right, exactly. And so again, it was just a different era, different science. But so now we know. And again, Eric, thank you for posting that, because that's an interesting question. It's one of those that makes you go, interesting. And keep the mailbag. Yes, I think it's going to be a lot of fun doing this mailbag here. So here's another interesting one that was posed to us. We don't have an answer for, and this one we may not have an answer for, but Jim Nom posted on here, how far down and out does the tunnel system in Corey Heights go? Ooh. And the rest of it got cut off, but he said, urban legend when I was in high school said it went all the way to Amador. So, I got a feeling that if this place was, some kind of secretive place, it has probably remained that way since. It's just different people maybe operating in it. Or
Amador would make sense, right? Because remember, there was that headquarters out there by when you turn in to go to the yacht club.
Yeah, the big Navy building on the left.
And the Navy building on the left.
And on the right, you had the 193rd, the infantry headquarters building, But
right, the one. I
don't know. It could be possible. I think it does go down, quite a bit, but I'm not sure it would do all that. That's you got to remember. Remember what Balboa was prior to Balboa? It was nothing but swamp and so they just put a bunch of fill there. So I'm not sure there's a lot you could build underneath that wouldn't.
Not at that edge, Willie. The hard ground is always by the water. It was just softer. It was what Balboa and
that's
Albrook.
True. More towards the Balboa and all. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, it could be then, but And listen, I mean, it wouldn't be a stretch to do it then, because you'd have construction equipment all over that area anyhow, so nobody would even notice that you had
probably some rail too to move you around, because that's a long way to walk.
You were pouring out the hill there, so yeah, that's going to be one we're going to have to look into.
How can we find that? Let me see. Maybe Andrew can find that with his access to all that, being a captain.
You know who else might know something about that? Is our friend Paul Shamella.
Paul Shamella might know. Oh, but look, Bill's saying no, that's all fill and dirt. All right.
Okay, all fill dirt. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. It was, so it would be hard to build something underneath there, but you never know. But I think,
unless they do culverts all the way down, these big concrete boxes.
Well, I mean, you would have to do a lot of construction on it, but again, you could hide the construction, because there between 1903 and probably 1920 there was nothing but construction in the canal zone. Yeah. So, it wouldn't be a stretch to have people doing construction there. You'd certainly blend in with everybody else.
But, no, you can't even get to Corey Heights anymore. I understand that's like Ambassador Road up there too. There's a bunch of embassies up there now.
Would make sense.
South Korea
would make sense. Because even Corey Heights, in the zone, I think when it was the canal zone in the military areas, I kind of feel like Corey Heights was a little bit more elite, right? Because you had a lot of leadership and stuff going up there as well. So, but anyhow, so that was cool, man. I appreciate that those questions and keep them coming, guys. Go onto the SCN Canal Zone Facebook page. That's where you can post your questions. We're going to pull questions from there and find the ones that are like, hey, that's a pretty cool question. That's an interesting one. Yeah, I've thought about that. I wasn't sure what that was, and be able to come up with some cool answers. Because again, it's probably not enough to do a show on, although that Corey Heights Tunnel one might be, but a lot of these are nonetheless interesting questions. So, but hey, cool show, guys. We enjoyed learning about the clubhouse. It's on the end of the road where those lights all meet at the end there. Next week, we're going to have some cool trivia. We're going to have some just fun banter a little bit. It's going to be low key, but there's going to be some trivia. We're going to have a 4-pack of Howler Monkey Sauce on the line again. So make sure you bone up on your trivia. It's going to be some architect trivia, some excavation trivia, and some general Canal Zone trivia. So don't miss it. It's going to be a lot of fun. And then, of course, the following week, we're going into the month of August. We're going to try and make some rock and roll on that one, Canal Zone rock. But, of course, Dave Dahlstrom's going to be in with his Balboa theater history. So, but anyway, Ricky, get us out of here. The bus is going by, man.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for coming and watching my architectural show and our show every week from the bottom of our hearts.
Great show, dude.
Thank you. We're very grateful. We'll see you next week at the same time.
Cheers, everybody. Hey, Ruthie. Saludos. Have a good night, everybody.